think we're, there we go. All right. I can hear you gagging yourself in there. Just so you know, the microphone's going. You are not late. No, I just got the stream up and going, and then like it shut down for some reason. I don't know. OBS crashed. So no, you're right on time. My son is brushing his teeth, or at least finishing up brushing his teeth. Downstairs we were talking about tabletop role-playing games, and we'd started a discussion, but we'd already decided that we wanted to, he wanted to paint tonight, and I was like, well, it'd be fun to stream. And so I said, let's table the conversation. So I don't know how this ends exactly, but I was asking him why he used to watch Dungeon Dudes often, but he doesn't watch anything about tabletop RPGs anymore. And so I want to know, like, what's the difference, or like, what is that to you? And that will have to wait until he's here. Yeah, I think technical shenanigans. I have a technical shenanigan. Like anytime I turn on any of my technology, power goes out, whatever. So yeah. Do you stream, Chris? I have managed to go to a number of a number of the people who comment on the videos. I click on their profile to see if they have a YouTube channel, and generally I try and follow them. One, so I can learn about the people who watch these videos, and two, because I don't know, maybe they go live and I could watch their games and stuff. Anyways, if you have a channel and you stream, let me know. You had a friend that watched Dungeon Dudes until she metagamed the fun out of the hobby entirely. That's pretty much what my son did as well. The character that he made in Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, it wasn't just that it was like overpowered nonsense. I think I may have described in like one of the videos how he used to have like a turn one action where he shot like 4 times for
5 times.
Okay, sorry, 5 times, he corrected me, for 18 damage a pop, and he's just like going pop, 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 pop.
And I could kill an enemy in 1 turn.
Yeah,
if I had gotten to higher levels, I could do like 500 damage in 1 turn.
I just don't understand. I mean, I guess that's fun. I guess that's fun.
It ended up not actually being that fun, because it was just like combats were so long and such a slog.
Okay. Oh, so during the apocalyptic times on Twitch, you used to do streams. Okay, it's been a while though. Why would you not go back to it? I guess the question, you can put that underneath that desk. I guess the question would be, did you have fun streaming? And if not, what did you not have fun streaming? Like actually, right? You gotta slide it up above that kill team box. There you go. Yeah, right there. You go around that. Yeah. What?
Crush that disc?
Crush. I don't know what that disc is.
All right.
That disc is not gonna get crushed. It's a disc, and that bag weighs like 2 pounds. It's gonna be fine. Okay. Streaming. If we're talking about streaming being its own type of game, or we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons. If you're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, I agree, and my son seemed to enjoy the mechanics of it. We're talking about streaming.
No, I mean Dungeons and Dragons. The thing I didn't like was the combat. Like, it wasn't really that interesting combat. I think Marvel Crisis Protocol does combat a lot better, and you're not expecting anything but combat. So that's some of the reason. But like in Dungeons and Dragons, you're expecting a little bit more.
Okay. You got paint? What are you painting?
Scarlet Witch.
Okay. Get your paints out so that you're ready to, because I want to continue asking you the questions I had. The metagame of creating character builds is a whole separate hobby. That's so interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah, that gets me. So this guy and his friend, what did you guys used to do? Like every week you made what?
we started by making a new character like every week, and then eventually we got bored of that and stopped making new characters because it took so long to like.
But you also never played with any of them. You guys had like 20 characters each. That's an exaggeration, but you guys had like.
Lemon had more characters than me because he built them faster, and I would like take hours just deciding on like the best possible thing just to do like 1 more damage in a turn.
Right. No, you're right, Kumit. There is an actual hobby just in, like they'd even go and look up Dungeon Dude videos on how to roll all the dice in different ways So you do this one version where you just roll like 20, what is it, 36, 24 dice?
It wasn't Dungeon Dudes. It was some
Okay.
different guy.
That's fine.
It's called Nerd Immersion.
Okay, but he rolls like 24 dice and then does some math and removes some
24
dice.
dice. You combine them into groups of 3 and you take out 6.
There you go. So you can make like the most optimal character ever, and then like they would just roll them over and over again.
Yeah, so then we would have 18, 18, 18, 18.
Okay, so yeah, I understand what you mean, Chris. Where you can prune and control what you're creating. Yeah, and I think that's some of the problem I had with Twitch as well. Is it's not very navigatable. Like it's hard to search for something on Twitch, and it's definitely not a place I would go to try and learn something like, I don't know, like plumbing or whatever. Twitch channel has chat, and such a heavy part of what's happening becomes an organism of its own. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't spent that much time streaming on Twitch because I was wildly unsuccessful at streaming, and I still am wildly unsuccessful at streaming.
We had a successful stream.
Okay, but I'll be like, okay, I don't know what I would actually consider
Not compared to like 3 million views.
No, but sure. But I'm also like struggling with this. Like this isn't. I'm like, should I talk? Should I finish my sentence? Should I read the next comment? Oh no, I didn't read the comment fast enough, right? Like all that stuff gets me going. Metagaming in war games makes a lot more sense to me. I agree. I like
metagaming in war games.
There is no aspect where you feel guilty for making an optimal team.
Except you get upset at me for making OP teams. No.
Okay, so this guy goes and makes S tier teams, and I'm telling him, okay, you can help me out here. I'm trying to explain to him that if all he ever does is make S tier teams, he's never really going to learn how to get good at the game. You know, like if you really want to get good at playing chess or something, you try and play a game without a queen. You know, you figure out how to try and win without a queen. You try and play a game without horses, whatever. Like you make some early sacrifices to teach yourself the strategy. And I think the same thing goes with like any of the war games. If you really want to learn strategies and how to play things and how to respond to certain moves, you kind of have to play with not S tier teams. You think the community that grew around your channel, oh, interesting, made you more uncomfortable? Wow. Okay, I'd like to know more about that.
Wait, what?
He says he thinks the community that grew around his channel, so he made a channel on Twitch, and then it grew a community, but that community made him uncomfortable, and it got bigger and bigger, and so, yeah, that's interesting. I appreciate you saying I have good balance. Thank you. But yeah, I'd be interested to know what you mean about that, because that is a thought that I have had. Is like, I definitely want to keep this family game oriented, but the more I'm learning about tabletop role-playing games, I'm finding out like, oh, there's mature games, and my mind doesn't really know how to conceptualize the maturity aspect of the game within the system, because I'm like, okay, you could just play a cyberpunk game and never have like humans that are weirdly modified or something, right? Like
I mean, that's kind of the whole thing about cyberpunk.
Okay, fine. You can play Shadowdark and never have like any blood-sucking cannibals, right? You can go, hey, we're gonna focus on like this unicorn veil, and your characters are playing the Shadowdark system but unicorn veil. Like there's nothing in the Shadowdark system, like the mechanics that's baked in, that makes you play a mature game. Until actually I read one of the comments today where someone explained to me how a mature game worked, and I went, oh, I get it. They were explaining Vampire the Masquerade and talking about how the system forces you to feed on people. And right, like, vampires eating people is kind of mature. Like you wouldn't teach a 6-year-old how to do that. Or maybe you shouldn't. But then they explained it a little more, and they're like, and then when you feed on people, there's like a chance you feed too much and you go into a blood craze and then you start murdering people. And I was reading that, I was going, okay, I get it. Like I didn't have a concept of that as a game. So like aside from having like lewd artwork or violent artwork, like I didn't really see, like you could just tear that page off, right? You can still play Dragonbane with kids as far as I'm concerned. But I also haven't looked into Dragonbane that much. Let's see. Have him make an S tier team for both of you. Win-win. I mean, okay, so he has. Have you tried to do that?
I think
he's tried to do that. Like, the thing is, I like playing
garbage.
Okay, apparently I like playing garbage. I disagree. I like playing.
You don't like playing garbage, but you don't play it. You have a good affiliation that you use for Marvel Crisis Protocol, but you don't play it to its extent.
Okay. He thinks I should be only going for the victory points, and I want to be going for kills.
Not only going for the victory points, but
Mostly.
there's a way to do both.
Okay. That's the thing. I don't really learn all the strategies. He's learning when he's watching like YouTube videos. Now all his YouTube, instead of watching Dungeons and Dungeon Dudes, he's now watching Mid-Rich Gaming and learning all like the tactics and strategies for that. Here, I'm gonna switch it over to the more painting picture. Let me get this in closer. My goodness, where'd the mouse go? There it is. Okay, so let me catch up on here. Yeah, no, I agree. He could make me a good roster.
But you had to make it use it.
I would probably use it. I don't know. I do like coming up with my own, even if they're bad. Let's see. You had to make an agreement with your best friend about competitive games, and it helped out a lot. He'd rope you into a new game, you'd play, and and you play on an even playing field. Okay, so you play on an even playing field. Was your friend really competitive? My guess would be that your friend was really competitive, or maybe you're really competitive. See, that's the thing. Is like I'm not really competitive.
And I am.
I can get a little competitive. Like when we're playing, okay, so for a long time we were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and these guys kept complaining. They're like, the game's too easy. You know, it's like it's too easy. You're not killing us enough. So then I tune it up a little bit, and then they get all mad that it was like too hard. They're like, we can't go fight all those dragons. And I'm like, okay, seriously.
That was not me.
No, that was not him. But you okay, what I'm saying is not an exaggeration. The rest of the players in your party were like, oh my goodness, we're gonna die. Remember how much planning you guys did to go fight that witch who was like a commoner, right? You were like getting ready to bust down her door and go SWAT team on her.
Which one?
The lady who was in the yellow tower. Anyways, okay, so they used to get all freaked out. Like they all went into the situation like they're all the Terminator, but they walked in there like they're Kyle Reese. I'm like, what are you guys doing this preparation for? You are total monsters. You could destroy every engagement that I prepare for you guys. And every single time they'd still like, okay, if we do this and then we do this. And I'm like, I don't know why you're planning. All right, let me go back to here. So eventually, he'd always end up looking up online the most winning meta builds. Okay, this guy does that, and then just copy paste those playstyles.
I don't fully copy paste.
He doesn't. He's right. He doesn't fully copy paste them. He came up with the Namor Baron Zemo strategy kind of on his own. Although
I heard about it, but then I figured out the team and leadership to put it under.
I just wanted to say I enjoy your rambly videos. It's way past your bedtime though. So yeah, no problem. Peace out. Thank you for correctly describing our videos as rambly. I appreciate it. Love the channel. I appreciate your enthusiasm and laying out your thoughts in real time. Thank you. Yeah, and sometimes when I come here, when I come to the comments or when I come to the chat, there's like stuff I'm working out. Like, for example, I'll go to the comments because I can think of a recent example. So I made a video about like lying to players or whatever, but in that video I detailed something about like an NPC that I got trapped in this other dimension, and someone in the comments basically told me, hey, check out this link to this other person's video. And they were basically describing a process where you allow your players to become like code dungeon masters, and essentially they work in some way of helping you create the story. So after you're done with a certain event, you say, hey, player, let me pull you aside for a second. What would you think about like how these goblins would respond? Or what's this dragon? What would you think this dragon does? And it allows your players to kind of be engaged in the world and also create situations where it's almost like player versus player, but not really. But the players are kind of engaged. And when I heard about it and I was reading, I was like, that's fantastic. That's amazing.
Listening, right?
What's that?
Not listening, not reading, right?
Listening, not reading. What you
said when you were reading that.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. No, I was reading it because it was a comment. It was a comment first. So I was reading it, and then the person, because they explained it a little bit. The person in the comment explained how it worked. So then it was interesting enough that I went and watched like a 26-minute video on this guy explaining the exact process in detail. So yeah, these people commenting here, like I love learning about how to run games here. Mostly because I think the tabletop role-playing games, like I don't want to necessarily say they're like my new favorite, because I've liked them for a long time, but I think they're the ones that you can get kids most engaged with. I have high hopes for getting like groups of kids playing tabletop role-playing games, probably a little more than I think I could get them to play like the miniatures games or whatever. Because there's a lot of technical stuff in the miniatures games. Let's see. Love the channel. I appreciate it. Okay, no. I'm also a suboptimal, non-competitive wargamer. Okay. I made an alien army just to watch them die, Starship Trooper style. That's so funny. I can totally understand that because, you know, I mean, you kind of want that narrative, like that story, right? Where like where the heroes went in, one of them got their arm melted off and got a robot arm. You know, that I'm trying to think of what the Michael Ironside's you gorillas, you apes want to live forever. All right, that's a funny movie. You really enjoy the vlog style videos and the fun conversation. Like your approach. Okay, I like the approach you take. Okay, I appreciate that because like when I first started, just no editing. It was so unnerving. You know, I used to like record about like
spend about like 70 hours editing a single video.
Okay, if I was making a trailer, yes, I'd probably spend about 70 hours making a video. Maybe more, maybe less. Because I just get so compulsive editing. Every cut has to be exact. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right,
like
but I perceive it is. Yeah. And then I'm edging whatever. So when I finally went, let me just see if I can actually make a video engaging with not editing. It was actually really relaxing. You know, there was a part of it where I was just like, okay, I know I'm not going to cut this going in. You know, yeah. So I appreciate it. Thank you. So, all right, to my question. When we were playing Dungeons and Dragons, you used to watch the Dungeon Dudes like all the time. Mm-hmm. And you rather enjoyed just listening to them engage and talk about like S tier classes and S tier races and the best superpowers and the best whatever, you know. So why was Dungeons and Dragons the only one you do that with? Like, why do you now not watch like other TTRPG videos?
Because with the Dungeon Dudes, it's sort of a general thing. I usually, once I find a channel I like, I sort of like fanboy onto it and like stick to it.
Okay.
So I don't usually watch a lot of different channels, which can be a downside because it means then I don't get like multiple opinions, and then also once I run out of content, I don't have much more.
Sure.
And I'm like scrolling back to like 5 years ago.
Yeah, we did that with Ryan George. We did that with the Ryan George pitch
much.
meetings. Yeah.
And then but some of it's also usually when I find like a family friendly channel, I'll stick onto that one. Usually
you're talking about for whether it's gaming related?
Just in general, cuz like the Dungeon Dudes were relatively like family friendly, and like
I would agree.
They didn't like curse or stuff. Midrich is a little less family friendly, but I don't find him like super like bad.
He's never saying weird stuff.
Not really. Like he'll say a curse word every so often.
Yeah.
But that's probably the biggest reason that it like I know a lot of the like Shadow Dark videos. Not know, but I assume they would be kind of weird because I got you. A bunch of the people seem kind of weird. Okay,
so you're talking about the sort of subculture of tabletop role-playing games and how the subculture of tabletop role-playing games is a little bit mature. But since Dungeons and Dragons is kind of like marketed towards like families,
the family one. I guess I didn't think about that. But
you've actually that's a good point. Because if I go wandering into an average Shadow Dark channel, there's probably some dude going F this and that and whatever, and
then talking about
like how his vampires eat people or something. I guess what you mean. Okay, right. There's like this area of the tabletop role-playing game space that's kind of Morkborg. Right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Let me get back to some of these comments here. Okay, so, all right, so another advantage of TTRPG for kids. Okay, yeah, I totally agree with this comment. So, so you like the fact that TTRPGs have a minimal buy-in for the player. All you really need is a paper, a pencil, some dice. That's a really good point. Yeah, and that's the thing I'm thinking of is like, okay, if I want to set this up for a youth group or something, or if I want to get, like I just went to camp with these kids, and if I wanted to try and set up some weekly or monthly thing where I have, I don't know, 10 kids hanging out playing a game, well, I either need to have, you know, if it's like Magic, I need to have 10 decks of cards or whatever, but you're exactly right. All I need to have is a printed out PDF. One person has to know the rules, and then everyone else just kind of participates, right? Or maybe I have like 2 DMs for a group of 10 people, whatever. I get you, like, you get the point. So yes, the minimal buy-in is absolutely something I'm like, that is a high selling point for me. See, the magic of TTRPGs, the magic of TTRPGs that doesn't exist in any other medium is the shared experience. That's a good point, right? You can keep after you play, reminiscing with friends and family about the games and experience, right? Like the real ones. No, I agree with that, and I think we've had those moments that were really fun. It's probably been since we were playing D&D. Like, I think there was a few of those moments in Shadow Dark that were really fun, that were interesting. But since a lot of them aren't like super combat related, like you're not doing that thing where you jump on a dragon and do 97 points of damage, right?
Yeah, I did like a 200.
Okay, all right. So we did like 200 points of damage. So it's going to require something epic for them to consider like that kind of win, right? Or like to consider.
Yeah, but we had a few pretty cool moments. Like,
okay, tell me something cool. Here. I'll be quiet for a minute. You tell some of our cool moments in Shadow Dark.
My favorite moment, I think, was talking to the spider people in the dungeon. Like, we were down in a dungeon, we had just killed a beholder, and these spider people came up and were like about to kill us, and we knew we had just been like destroyed in this fight, and we were barely alive, hanging on by like 1 or 2 hit points, and then like our tankiest character was at like 5 and they had 11, so they were like, all of us were destroyed and we could not take another fight, and I knew it. So then we just talked our way out of it, and the entire session was just talking, and there wasn't there was like 4 or 5 rolls in the entire session, which was really fun. That was probably my favorite session. And then the moments was like talking. I like the talking part a lot, the role playing.
I'm so stoked that you said that. Like, I mean, I know you said it the night of or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that's like, I think we haven't been playing tabletop role-playing games with D&D. I don't think D&D was a TTRPG, you know?
It was kind of just a combat simulator that wasn't very
There's some
good.
talking sometimes.
Yes,
right.
with a
and that could have been my fault. Like, maybe I was a bad DM then. I have obviously learned, or I'm fairly certain I've learned a lot just going through comments and talking here. Let me get back to these. Agile Monk says, I love that you do this with your son. I agree. I love doing this with him as well.
Yeah,
it's
I
fun to
enjoy
watch.
it a lot.
Fun to watch him paint. And last time we learned how to paint blonde, so that was cool. Let's see. I think it's true. Most OSR channels don't necessarily swear, and they're not, so they're made by adults for just adults, in the sense that they're maybe a little boring, at least not aimed for kids. You're right. The Dungeon Dudes had like kind of a peppy attitude, right? Like they were kind of snarky with each other sometimes. And,
yeah, they did a good job making it engaging.
Sure.
I'd say I wouldn't say boring would be like the biggest problem for me, because I feel like I have a generally pretty good attention span. I wouldn't say I have like the best attention span, but I think there are a lot of things that I can hold my attention on a little longer than most people.
Let's see. Kind of like watching tax accountants compare loopholes. So watching some of the people explain things in the channels, like I'll get all the way to the end of a game video and realize that I haven't retained like most of the rules. I don't know if it's just, I think there's some of it where I need to be watching a playthrough or something. For example, like a gentleman from Croatia who's in the comments in one of my videos, like emailed me and was like, hey, if you want to learn Ironsworn, I'll help you learn how to learn Ironsworn. And I was like, cool. So we called him up on Discord, and we just sort of sample played through it. And I realized, like, I could have been reading or even watching some videos on like how to play this. I probably wouldn't have grasped it nearly as well. And like I'm not even like really that dense when it comes to reading rule sets. Just sometimes like these rule sets, they don't seem like they're written for easy discernment. Like Shadow Dark, I've had almost no problem with. It was pretty basic. But like even like you go to like some of the board games, like the manufactured ones for like Fantasy Flight games, Marvel Champions, it's just so much flavor text. It's like just tell me how to play your stupid game. Stop trying to convince me to play your stupid game. All right, let's see. Yes, I love that. The narrative moments of creative genius are the best ones when you collectively brainstorm your way to victory. I agree. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was cool that they approached the situation like coming at it with authority and like talking to the monsters like, yo, you don't even want to mess with us. Like it was cool, and you know, and then it made me have to think, how do these monsters respond to them,
other than just attacking.
Right. I'm like, okay, wait a second. Are these monsters confused by this? Well, they just killed the big bad boss, and so then I have to kind of like figure out, how do these monsters respond? Yes, I was there when you did the blonde painting discussion. You know, that was really helpful. So yeah, if you have any questions about painting, maybe some of these folks know how to paint. Heading to the gym now, so I'm throwing you guys on my phone. Can't chat, but you've been listening. Thanks for the good company in advance. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it. Enjoy your time at the gym. I wish I went to go out and get time for the gym. I need to go walking more. What's that?
Maybe get a gym pass.
I'm kind of exaggerating about that. I prefer to ride my bike or to walk.
Then
maybe I should go on a bike ride. I should. My back is almost feeling better enough. I think it probably is. So go back to Dungeon Dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So if we found a tabletop RPG channel that seemed kind of like Dungeon Dudes, that's something you'd want to watch. Like
maybe, but also when I was watching Dungeon Dudes, I feel like I had a little bit more free time, and recently I've been like more busy. Whenever I was driving with my mom, that's when I would listen to Dungeon Dude videos. But now I've been really busy because I have like a reading book for school, and I've been listening to an audiobook of it in the car.
Homework stuff.
It's like homework stuff, and
okay.
I have to read a lot of it. So if I got caught up on it, I would still want to get ahead. But if let's say I had nothing to do in the car, I might listen to it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you're not like opposed to it. It's not like an uninterest of yours.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound as interesting to me. I guess some of the thing with Dungeon Dudes was like D&D had so many rules to where like if you wanted to figure out something, it was so complicated to figure out how to make like a good character. Because you could just pick any subclass, but it doesn't mean you'd have like that great a character. And then you just have like a generic character. But in Shadow Dark, it feels a lot different because I just made a wizard and the character is already more interesting, and it's not necessarily everything you have on the like just your class.
Yeah.
But then when you're going through your backpack, any character can do the stuff. Like we got into the fight with Beholder, and I shoved a torch in his eye, and I rolled a nat 20, so I like jammed it super far into his eye, and then he was burning because he had a bunch of moss in his eyeball. And then at the end, he turned someone into a rat, and then it was my uncle's character, and he got turned into a rat, so he jumped into the eye, and then it exploded him into full size, and then he was like kicking out his brain, and then he died. Like that was something like anyone could do, and it wasn't just based on your class. Like if I had gotten turned into the rat, I could have done the same thing. And my stepmom got turned into a rat. Lex got turned into a rat, and she could have done that, but she had less health and was less tanky than my uncle's character, so it wasn't as good of an idea for her to do that.
So you already find you're saying you find Shadow. Okay, so let's see. I'm hearing two different things. I'm hearing Dungeons and Dragons was really interesting because it was kind of rules driven. But Shadow Dark character is more interesting somehow.
Yeah, the thing with Dungeons and Dragons was that when you were playing, it almost always ended up in a combat, and if it didn't, it was just kind of boring. Because like if you wanted to do anything, you had to make like 8 rolls just to like break into a house or something. And you unlock the door, there's a second lock, so you kick down the door, and then you're making a stealth check so the people don't notice you, or you're like unhinging the door.
Well, so some of that is like if you say this type of stuff to someone who likes Dungeons and Dragons, you're probably going to get that person saying to you, you don't have to do all that stuff, right? You can choose to ignore any of these rules.
You can choose to ignore that stuff.
So, so why don't you choose to ignore that stuff?
I guess because it feels when you're doing that you're playing the game wrong, and then even if you just don't ignore that.
But what if someone says you can't play the game wrong?
It feels like you're playing it the baby way.
Okay, so you're playing with like baby rules. So what you're saying is, for you, if there is a rule in a game, you must follow it. If you know about it.
Kind of, unless it's something like with Marvel Crisis Protocol, I've got to a point where I can add a bunch of things. Like we have non-Marvel terrain, and I can sort of make up stuff with my uncle or my friend. Whenever we're playing, like this piece of terrain, what would it be? Size 3. This piece of terrain, it's all connected together. If you take this piece off, this piece falls. We're fine with that.
Okay.
So like even though there's some breaking rules when I'm playing Marvel Crisis Protocol at home, just casually, that feels easier because I've gotten to a point of like I know pretty much not everything, but I know a lot about the game, to where I can play it pretty comfortably without having to go on to like looking at the rule book or going on to the Atomic Mass Games forums or anything.
Okay. But okay, let's talk about errata for a moment. So we own, it's in here somewhere, we own a Malekith miniature.
And he is not built.
Hold on. This went from Dungeons and Dragons to errata. Let's talk about errata. Because errata is essentially rules, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we own this like, I think maybe we got him on sale, but let's say it's like a $40 figure.
No, he was 65, I think.
But I think I got him on sale from Amazon.
No, I got him at
you bought him at the, so you bought him at the Realm?
I bought him at the Realm.
That's right. Okay, I forgot that. All right, so you spent $60 of your own money on this guy.
I'm not upset that I got him, but I just never gonna use him.
I think you should be upset about that. Hold on. We got a couple more comments here. D&D has more implication via its system, which creatures the feeling of restriction for some. D&D has more implication via its system.
It implies that you should do these things.
I got it. Which creates the feeling of restriction for some. No, okay, so I get it. Okay, via the designated skill and so on. So right. So in Dungeons and Dragons, since there is a skill that lets you do a thing, for example, like there's a skill that lets you tie a knot or something, right?
No.
You know what I mean? There's a skill that lets you...
Sleight of hand. You'd be like sleight of hand.
Right. There's a skill that lets you look at the stuff in the room, right? There's a skill that lets you interact with people and judge whether they're lying.
Yeah, which is kind of dumb.
If I just give it to you and go, this person...
You rolled a nat 20. Yes, they are lying.
Okay, yeah, right. So since the system has a rule for it, then yeah, you kind of get into the mindset that you should be doing the rule, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So all right, let's
with Marvel Crisis Protocol, when it comes to an errata, I don't feel like I can play the game without using that errata, without it feeling like I'm not playing the game.
Huh.
So I would not feel comfortable using Old Malekith card.
Okay. Let's take that to like a video game for a second. Let's say you were playing Stardew Valley, and you found out that your version of Stardew Valley was 1.3. But there was a 1.5 version of the game, and it like just, I don't know, it ganks like 6 of the weapons you like. Will you upgrade to Stardew Valley 1.5?
No, because that feels different.
How does that feel different? This thing costs $60.
No.
Man.
The thing with that is that it's a competitive game, so then if I'm playing with that and then I win, it makes my win feel like not real, because then I'm playing with an advantage. Sad. Unless I was playing with a character who was weaker before and then they got an upgrade now.
Okay.
So if I was playing with like old Cable and I won, that would feel more rewarding, because it means I won with the one of the worst characters in the game.
Okay. Consider that for a moment when you're making your S tier teams, huh?
I'm gonna play this
audio back for you because you just said it would be satisfying to win with an inferior team. I think those were literally your words.
But it's not likely.
Someone go back and make a clip of that.
Darkstar.
Someone make a short of that, okay? Because this
You're
kid.
not gonna win with Darkstar, Cable, Clea, Dormammu.
I'm making myself a mental note to go find the section, and then I'm going to cut it and splice it up against the section where you
And
go.
then you're gonna like put it into a video on like 100 times repeat.
Yes. Let's see. Yeah, light rules encourages. Okay, so yeah, the rules light encourages dice rolling. Encourages less dice rolling. I agree. Yeah, the less dice rolling. There's like two things about it that have come up naturally. One, now the players try and find interesting ways to interact with the environment, or the game in general. And so I get players that are going like, oh, let me test this thing or try this thing, or let me do a thing. And that thing that they're asking to do isn't related to like one of their skill checks. Creates, not creatures. If you give a player a perception skill, they will roll the dice. Rather than think about the room and describe looking under the table in the bed. Exactly. That's kind of what I've been noticing. Do a dad was right supercut. I think I'm going to. I understand what you mean regarding the rules errata. I think it's totally a bonehead thing for companies to do, while at the same time I understand why they do it.
Why do they do it?
Well, there seems to be a couple reasons why they do it. One of the reasons was the guys at our game store mentioned was that they want you to buy the characters because they're so OP when they first come out. So they release, for example, Apocalypse is coming out. And Apocalypse is going to be like just a total baller, right? He's gonna be overpowered, and they know he's going to be overpowered. So a bunch of people buy him, paint him, put them together, table him, make a Apocalypse team. And where they learned that from was like not Hearthstone. What's that stupid game from Blizzard? Overwatch. So in Overwatch, every time a new character comes out, it's like the best character for the first 3 weeks, so that everyone unlocks it or buys it or whatever, or buys costumes for it, then buys skins for it, and then like 3 weeks later, they're like, all right, this character's gonna be as dumb as Mercy or whatever. So it's like, yeah, but everyone gets into it. It creates a board game style dynamic for some people to avoid it. The DM can break up the feel by using skill tests that are narrative moments, but it's definitely a style choice. Yeah, I would say I'm only now trying to get used to that, but I think what I did, so like you have the two systems, you have like the rules heavy system and then like the rules light system. And since I went from the rules heavy system to the rules light system, there was the potential for me to do what you described, where I kind of go into a narrative thing and I start describing the scene and whatever else. And then I present a narrative option for the player to discern. I think I would like to try and investigate this area or something, right? I think that's what you're saying. I have people that like narrative heavy play and others that enjoy the dice gods divining the narrative. Okay, I know you are describing the thing I'm saying, where like one of them you just kind of go into describing it. I think I like that a lot more because, all right, it feels weird for me if I say, okay, here's this monster trying to talk to you or whatever, and the player comes up with, like, let's say a really good argument for the monster to dissuade them from doing a thing. It feels stupid for me to say, now roll the dice, right? They already made their compelling argument. Now me as the player, the DM, are going, yeah, I think you convinced that monster. Right? Oh, hold on. Could you please roll your persuasion check? Oh, you got a 2?
Oh, okay.
Oh, you got a 2. Sorry, this monster eats you. That feels so contrived. And on the reverse of that, I'd say my player doesn't make any description whatsoever.
I rolled that 20. I convinced them.
It seems so stupid. Yeah. Let's see. I have people like narrative. Yeah, it's the fine line. Because there's inherent fun in rolling the dice and enjoying the fact that you're playing the game. I totally agree. And I think there is some way to make the enjoyable or gamey part of it like a puzzle box, like a, I don't know if you remember that old game from the 90s, Mind Trap. Well, I guess that's not a great example because that one there was like specific answers. No, this is like one of those. Okay, here, for example, Ben Milton has a video it was fantastic, and it was all about like different puzzles. I'm not gonna go through any of them because I don't want this guy to hear about it. But basically they're all like situations that there's no solution to the situation. You know, I really want to give an example, but this guy's gonna hear it. Whatever.
Type it in the. Can you type it?
No, I'll stay with you. Whatever. So you can watch it. It's like, I think his video was like how to. I don't remember what his video was. It was talking about. I don't even remember the topic of the video. My goodness. But what the point was is it had like a bunch of stuff for how you could dungeon master a game with interesting puzzles and stuff. All right. Let's see. I always take it on the lines of forced actions being a little more difficult and required tests, whereas fluid actions require less or no tests at all. Let's see, I'm going to read that again so I try and understand it. You always take it on the lines case. So a forced action is a little more difficult and will require a test, or a fluid action. Okay, can you describe for me the difference, somewhat, doesn't have to be too articulate, but what is the difference between a forced action and a fluid action? I get that you're making a distinction between those two things, and I'm mentally envisioning the idea of a forced action being something, okay, where I'm telling the player you gotta dodge because there's like a beam coming to your face. Maybe that's a forced action, so that person is dodging. Whereas a fluid action is something they choose. Yeah. If you could describe those two things, I haven't heard of those terms to define things before, and I'm not sure what the distinguishment is. Warhammer 40k is infamous for OP new models that get updated shortly after they're released. I am not surprised. I've heard so many people who are salty about Warhammer 40k. Oh, and like Kill Team as well, where they go buy an entire box and like the box at some point, like, okay, I can't use this unit anymore or whatever. And it's already kind of a punishing system because you're having to build the unit a certain way for it to mean what it means. Like I have a box down there of Kill Team, the starter set, and it's got like the Vanguard Bros, the Vanguard Bros. And, you know, like as I'm going through, it's like, well, I can make this one into a sniper or an assault rifle guy or something, right? And I'm going, well, what's the difference? And, you know, obviously I know I already only have pieces enough to make either the sniper rifle or the assault rifle. So that means I now have to go figure out which one's good, which means I need to totally understand the game. And it's like, I think I just want to build one version or another, you know, anyways, yeah. Thank you. I love my hat too. This hat is like, this is all that's remaining of a hat my
From
dad.
the dogs.
Okay, so my dad gave me, I had a Boston hat before this, and I think I bought it at Lids, and I loved it. It was like my favorite hat. And the dogs got a hold of it. They just shredded it. I still have it. It's just totally torn through. This hat was my dad's, and he gave it to me a while ago. And then my dogs got a hold of it one day and just annihilated it. It's the last hat that I have that's in functioning, you know, like that it functions. So yeah, you're not supposed to roll. Let's see, you're not supposed to roll if they convince them. Right? No, I totally agree. And that's exactly what happened. As we were playing, and the Spider Queen monster comes out, like she comes out kind of aggressive. She's ready to fight, and my players immediately go, no.
Well, I was in the kill mode because I was not trusting them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. He was in killer mode because he didn't trust the spiders. The other players were all trying to hand the spiders trinkets and stuff. But I think it was your Uncle Robert who first said that he wanted to kind of spin it, and then he immediately followed suit. Bishop immediately followed suit and jumped in with like the lie. And then it started like manifesting, like they got really clever with it. They're like, what are you doing? This sacrifice chamber's all wrong. You guys are getting tricked, right?
And then
like,
we stole all the kids from
there. And they stole all the kids from the sacrifice chamber. Right, they got really, really clever with it. And so I didn't have them roll a dice a single time because they were being so clever. Let's see. Ben Milton is great. I agree. He is so clever in the way that he structures his information, and he's also just totally calm. Like it's peaceful to watch him. I also really like the things he's suggested. Like he suggested a bunch of these different they're like random tables where you can either run either come up with like unique items. His knave magic system is super interesting. Like I would probably run knave just to mess around with that magic system. Exactly, Mr. Pirate Dancer. Let me see what Mr. Pirate Dancer says. Yeah, you're not supposed to. Right. Okay, agreed. 40K 40K deserves to be such a better game. Okay, so I'm all right. I've mentioned before that we're trying to find like our new favorite tabletop war game.
You mean you are?
Yes, he means I am. So okay, but you do want. Okay, do you at least understand the reasons
I
that
understand why, but I am still content with Marvel. I'm not like
Right.
at a point where I'm ready to give it up.
I'm not ready to give it up. No, okay. I'm not ready to give it up. One, I have an investment in miniatures and I want to at least finish painting them. I enjoy the gameplay. I think it's a fun game to play. To me, it's more like there's a time and a place for it. And when we have 3 players is not the time and a place for Marvel Crisis Protocol.
But there is fun ways to play it. Like the 2v1 is pretty fun.
Is it fun? Did you have fun with Marshall? So you and Marshall and Landon played. Is it fun? Did you actually?
Landon didn't actually play. He wasn't there, remember?
Oh, I forgot. Okay, never mind. Let's see. I want to bribe this guard, and that seems sleazy, and has already dropped hints that he is buyable. Okay. Oh, right. Okay, so he seems skeezy, and he's already dropped hints he's buyable. Versus the players initiating. Oh, I see. Okay. I want to bribe this guard, that seems skeezy, and already has dropped hints that he's buyable. Versus the player initiating, I want to buy this guard off with no knowledge. Okay, I got it. Of inclinations. I see. Okay, so fluid, force versus fluid. Okay, so the fluid one. All right, so with the way that you've positioned forced versus fluid, it makes me think that the forced version is that there's already been hints dropped about a guard being buyable, and the fluid version is the player initiating they want to buy the guard off, but intuitively that seems wrong. So like part of me wants to think that the fluid one is the one where, you know what I'm saying? Like the fluid is the first version. Winning 40K. What's that?
That doesn't really make that much. I understand.
So he's giving 2 different descriptions of things. So basically, in one situation, you have already found out other information about this guard because you went and did research or something. Okay, you understand that? Okay, yeah. Okay, and my thought is like, so he's saying force versus fluid. My thought is the second one, the one where you just go, I'm gonna buy this guard off without knowing anything about them. Like I don't know anything about their character, right? That one seems like the forced one. But I'm also.
Yeah, that is the forced one.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, all right. All right, let me get. Okay, so 40K. Winning 40K is when you paint. Okay. Winning 40K is when you can paint and play a model before it's become irrelevant. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Okay. That is okay. Look at this thing. Okay, you can't really see it on this. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in this one. This is the build version, right? So he started building it, and then he realized.
Malekith is just okay now.
We didn't know about. Okay, did the errata happen like after you bought it, or we just didn't know?
I didn't know about it.
Okay, so he bought this before we knew that they were doing errata on the characters, or that we knew that.
Before I knew that the errata made him like garbage.
Okay, there we go.
Not garbage, but just not nearly as.
So hey, yeah, live and learn. Which is it's completely unpainted, unfinished, and he's never gonna touch it. I'm gonna have to paint that guy and like make some garbage team. Let's see.
He's not garbage, but he's still pretty good.
It also prevents players from being downright abrasive by adding a reasonable penalty for it. Interesting. Okay, so right, because if the players are abrasive, they don't get the information. If they don't get the information, they don't really know how to role play. I got you. Okay, that makes sense, especially if you're consistent with your world building or if you're consistent with your NPCs having background motives and things. No, you okay, yeah, I jumped ahead. All right, let's see. Exactly, it's very hard. Like forcing no narrative role or going with fluid flow of the game, no role, got it, okay. Exactly, but it's very hard to make something like this a hard rule. I just use it as a table rule and it's easily understood by my tables. Not sure how you could write it into a system as a hard rule. Interesting. Yeah, I guess because if it was a hard, okay, let me see. So I've seen a couple. This is going to be adjacent. It's not quite exact. All right. So I've seen a couple rule systems where, as I'm reading the rule systems, I'm learning about like how to play this game. The writers of the book seem to indicate, and I'll give you a specific example. Tales from the Loop. Tales from the Loop to me, when I read the rule system, I haven't played it yet, seems like a game where the players can act as the dungeon master for parts of the game. And I got that idea from the example that they give early on in the book, where there's a situation set up where like a robot has taken a little girl hostage and like looks at the players, and then they're like doing things, and the player says, I'm gonna go run over to the bushes, right? But as far as I could tell, the dungeon master had not established that there were any bushes, which in my mind means that the player gets to add narrative world building developments, okay? And where I see this being a little bit similar or adjacent is if you had a role-playing game where the dungeon master was constantly dropping tips to things versus you have a role-playing game system where the players can insinuate or infuse the game with the tips that they want to look for and say like, okay, for example, in the case of like bribing the guard, I want to sit around and eavesdrop on the guards to hear what they're talking about so I can get an idea about which one is on the take or something, right? Like, and that's the thing where the players can lead the DM in a direction and the DM can then learn my players want to know this thing. And so I get the sense that certain tabletop role-playing games are better at running those kind of systems of narrative clue giving or clue seeking, and other games are worse at it. But I'd be interested in hearing your comments. I know I'm kind of like rambling on about this, but like, for example, that type of role-playing thing didn't seem innate to Dungeons and Dragons. It may not be innate even to Shadow Dark, because there are times where I fail to give my players a clue as to about how an NPC works or what things they deride from interacting with them. Anyways, let me go back to reading this. So, where's narrative? Okay, play. Okay, so exactly. It's hard to tell. Yeah, it's hard. You're right. So hard to make a hard rule for it. I think I get what you're saying. Yeah. All right. So play Kill Team, Daddy-O. It is an easy. Okay, it's an easy sell and investment is low. So I have Kill Team, and it's in a box over there. I got to put it together. I have a couple different spare armies as well. Spare skirmish teams. I got these guys,
and we have the Necron.
I got these guys because I thought they looked like BioShock miniatures. Like they're probably some of the coolest looking miniatures I have seen to date. Like I just think the steampunk vibe to them is really interesting. I went and learned a little bit how to play Kill Team at the game store. There were some dudes there who were teaching it, and so I sat in and I watched them play I think a whole game and got a sense for how it works. And some of what I got was, I'm trying to figure out if I can explain it. Some of what I got was that the dice mechanic was essentially that 4-up or 3-up or 5-up system. Like pretty much every team was working on that kind of system. Yeah, the quality system. It was a little bit Warhammery. And since we had,
because it's made by Warhammer.
Yeah, right, made by Warhammer. So we got a chance to play one-page rules. Go ahead and explain what you thought about one-page rules while I read some of these.
So many keywords. And the keywords are so poorly explained that it just wasn't fun. And some of it was we were still playing Marvel Crisis Protocol then.
Right, yeah.
So like I already was happy with Marvel Crisis Protocol, and it was just so much more easy to play than Kill Team, so it was just like not really worth learning, because we could have spent like months and months or even weeks learning how to play it, and we could have eventually learned and understood, but it just was difficult.
So my thought was that we were starting to play it, we got an idea for how to play, but there was never that moment, like we had that moment in Marvel Crisis Protocol somewhat early on where we realized this game is fun because it's exciting to try and go for the symbols. And anyways, we never really had that moment with one-page rules, and we
only played one game, but it didn't feel
it was really clunky.
Yeah,
it was clunky, and all the keywords were clunky too. And then, and so we had the thought that this was pretty much Warhammer, so we're not going to bother with Warhammer. Although I know that's not necessarily the case. We've played a couple other tabletop war games. I am interested in learning Kill Team as soon as they release the cooperative version. Like I'm probably going to pick up the starter box for that one, just so I can get the rules and whatever other pieces you need. All right, let's see. Got to go back to this. So, apologies for no. Okay. My apologies. Poor framing on that part. Yes, fluid is the first one. Okay, that makes sense. I think I could tell that. basically if the players are keeping the fluidity of the story narrative, skip the rolls and drive the narrative in short. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Tales from the Loop does have some interesting mechanics and openness to it. Okay, that's the same idea I got, and it seemed really interesting, but to me, my initial investigation into Tales from the Loop was that this game was for advanced players. Like, this wouldn't be a game that I would bring to a brand new player because it requires a level of participation from a player that is almost like being a DM. I could be wrong on that, but it seemed like it was more of an advanced system. I have to check it out. Okay. Oh, Agile Monk. Okay. Good morning from Germany. Auto Hack. Good morning from California. Call of Cthulhu might be interesting to you. Basically, no combat, something terrible happens to basically everyone. Okay, Call of Cthulhu is very interesting to me. Tell this guy, like before, this guy, you tell them. I have been asking about Call of Cthulhu since we were stopping D&D. Right, that was on the top of. That was on the top of my list.
None of us were really there. I wasn't interested in it.
None of them were interested in it.
It's like a weird, like.
Okay, so we played Call of Cthulhu. We played the Arkham Horror card game, which we had a lot of fun with, and I think it was actually a much better living card game than the other two living card games from Fantasy Flight Games. But it does have like people eating people and mature stuff, right? And like people having strange, vampire parties and stuff. So thematically, he was less interested in it.
It didn't bother me too much, but I think that did bother me a lot more at the time. Yeah. So I think I'd be more fine going back to it now, but we now have the Slay the Spire game, so there's like no point to go back to it. Because the Slay the Spire game is so much more fun.
I want to teach him Dragonbane. I've read through a little bit of the Dragonbane stuff, and then I started reading Dolemwood. Dolemwood sounds really interesting. I've only read the starter, like the free thing, the free guide. I'll get to that in a minute. Call of Cthulhu. Okay. Yeah, I thought Call of Cthulhu might be interesting because it's more of a mystery game, and basically like when everything goes wrong, you're just all dead. So who cares? But I also thought that. What's the one where everyone dies? 10 Candles. I also thought 10 Candles would be an interesting game. And then what was the other one? Oh, The Heart. But The Heart sounded a little despondent, less interesting, I guess. All right. In my opinion, you are describing good player behaviors. Okay, ask questions about the environment to act creatively with it, i.e. there's a plate glass window. Is there a plate glass window? Can I kick him through it? Yes, there is. That's exactly right. Yeah. It's funny listening to you guys talk about Warhammer. My wife and I just bought the Ultra Starter Set, and I immediately realized we're going to need a backup plan for these models. Well, okay, so yeah, what do you mean? Are you thinking about? Okay, so like you think you're gonna want to use the models for something else, like not Warhammer? I mean, that's basically why I like the Warhammer miniatures. Like I got these guys because I want to put them in 5 parsecs from home, or Stargrave, or
that wasn't originally why you got it, was it?
I originally got it because I thought I was interested in Kill Team, but then when I looked up the reviews for Kill Team, I found out that this team was one of the more complicated teams to play with. Like they're not easy to play with. And I learned that the not the Ultramarines, the Poxboggers or Poxbasters, Pox Monster, the Pox Vampire, Pox Zombie guys were like one of the easier teams to play, and they were also super overpowered. And the sorry, I must put my gum out. And the Marines, like the Super Marines or something. So I learned that those guys would be the guys to get, but I just liked the look of these models, and I was interested in trying to learn Stargrave, except Stargrave didn't have a co-op mode at the time. It only had the versus mode. So I bought Frostgrave. But I don't know, for some reason it's complicated and I haven't been interested in learning it. I started learning Frostgrave, but then I think I got to like the 3rd or 4th video from the Watch It Played channel. I was like, I can't remember all this stuff. Like if this model's here, and this model's here, and this one's here, but this one's here, then this one gets a -1, and this one gets a -2. I was like, I can't do it. There's like so much stuff. All right, see, it looks like it supports clues. It's okay. One that looks like it supports clues. It's secret clues. I've seen it in Brindlewood Bay. It encourages the DM to have a list of clues to give out. Interesting. Without specifying where, so they can go anywhere. Okay, and that is related to, okay. Yeah, I think that's it related to the other thing about, okay, so you're talking about the forced versus fluid. That's an interesting idea. So I'm gonna let me get my phone. Let me take a picture of the chat there, because I want to look that up. Photo, where is it at? Okay. Describing player behaviors. Okay, no, where's it go? All right. Secrets and clues. I've seen it in Brindlewood Bay. All right, I'm taking a picture of that. Focus. There we go. Okay. All right. I will look up Brindlewood Bay. I have not heard of that. Okay. Very narrative and pseudo mystery based. I think we're talking about Call of Cthulhu there. And I think that's the reason why Call of Cthulhu interested me. So, like this guy, this guy's never really interested in trying a new tabletop role-playing game or a tabletop war game. But generally when we do try a new one, what has been the experience?
Not with war games, but with role-playing games.
No, that's not true. You like Space Station Zero for the first 3 games we played. Until we party wiped, you were into
but I wasn't super opposed to. I was at first. You're right.
And then when you played it, you liked rolling 28 dice for your captain, right? And taking points of damage. You liked that front powering. Okay, right. It was just unfortunate that it was too easy to meta break that game. But still, you were interested in that game.
It was either way too easy or way too hard.
Right.
And then you never got
save or fail.
But then you never got anything new. Your crew from the beginning was your crew from the end.
Well, we didn't get far enough to know if we got stuff.
Well, no, because the thing was like there was a roll. There was a roll one time where you could get new stuff, and then we failed the roll, so we didn't get anything, which was lame.
Oh yeah, that was yeah, I remember that. So he's generally not interested in trying new systems, and I am all interested in trying new systems. Like, it's annoying to him, and some of it is like, look, I'm trying to find a game system that's easy for kids to learn, but then on top of it, since I'm trying to run a YouTube channel that's explaining to people, like. Sorry, I didn't bump your arm. My thought in mind is like, okay, I could start making videos going, look, if your kid likes Roblox, here's 6 different games that, fit some of the mechanics of Roblox. That's not a great example because Roblox is like 1,000 different games. But, all right, your kid likes Grand Theft Auto. Here's a game that's all about heists and like miniatures and breaking into banks or something, or, that's kind of what Grand Theft Auto is, right? Anyways,
cars.
Okay, and if I could start making videos like that, if your kid likes this, then try these 6 games. That doesn't require me to be playing those games forever. I just need to learn about them. So if I can learn about enough of them, I can get a list of like, here's a bunch of different games. If your kid likes this video game, try this real game, right? And then you connect with your kid through that real game. That's my dream. And this guy's like, stop learning new systems.
We already have enough.
We already have enough, right? And my thought is like, I'd kind of even like to try Dragonbane and Dolomwood and and Tales from the Loop and Wildsea, but like I don't want to start like a year-long campaign in Wildsea. I just want to see what it's like, which irks this guy. So hold on, let me go back to where I missed things. Okay, clues. So a narrative-based mystery game is very interesting to me. A week ago, you had the pleasure to play one-page rules with someone who knew the rules, and it was fun. Okay, interesting. It was your first play with minis. Wow. Okay. All right. Cool. So I have some questions for you, Otto. All right. So, all right. So when you were playing, okay, I have like 10 questions for you. I'm gonna try and make it simple. When you were playing, what group of people did you pick? When you were playing, did you struggle with understanding the keywords? All right. When you were playing, did you find it satisfying to roll the dice? Like, and here's the thing I mean about that. Like when you're playing a tabletop war game. If you don't understand what you want to roll, then rolling is not satisfactory. So in a tabletop war game, the thing you need to do is understand before you even roll the dice that you want a 6 and a 5 and a 3 or something, right? And in some of those war games, you just want 5s or higher, which means you're not really looking for a specific roll, you're just looking for certain numbers. Whereas if they required like Yahtzee rolls or something, it actually might be exciting or interesting to try and get special moves off or something. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess I have questions about that. And then, like, yeah, okay. Well, what did you find fun about it? Fill me in on any details. Greetings to AJ Hennings. All right, you kickstarted Dolomwood. You can't wait for the full release. Gavin Norman is a favorite creator of yours. So I got so stoked just going through the lore, the map, the creatures, like the different races. Those were all super interesting. The world seemed super interesting, like the different factions. Like I found all of it so fascinating, to the point where I was like, I kind of want to start playing in Dolanwood. Like, I mean, I like the story that I have running in Shadow Dark, and I don't want to like detach my players, but I at least want to test it out. So like, I want to find someone who's running a game and jump in and be a player in their game for a while. And I'm actually interested in doing that for a couple different games. Like, I would like, there's a guy who's playing a Savage World game. Unfortunately, it's on Wednesdays, and like Wednesdays are kind of like the day we have his friend and his friend's dad come over and we play Slay the Spire, or we have another kid come over. So Wednesdays is kind of like our after school play day. But maybe I could find like a time on Tuesday or Thursday when I'm not doing anything and I could just do a live stream playing in someone else's game, or I could just play in someone else's game or whatever, like be on Discord. That would be great because I want to learn Savage Worlds. I want to learn Ironsworn, which I plan on doing tomorrow with a guy from Croatia. I want to learn Dolanwood, Call of Cthulhu, Alien RPG. The Year Zero, I kind of want to learn the skirmish more than the game, but I'm also interested in learning the game because it sounds like it has a lot of base building, and base building is a big part of the game, which I'm like, all right, if I'm recommending games to people who like building up an empire or something, maybe Mutant Year Zero would be a good one. All right, let's see. So let me get back here. Kickstarter Dolanwood. Yeah, it looks super interesting. The appeal of the OPR for you is the basic rules plus the printing and playing with whatever models you like, which is fine if you ain't already in the games, or in the games workshop system, right? So you have the OPR, and by OPR in that sense, do you mean? Hold on. Oh, one-page rules. I was thinking OSR. Sorry, and the one-page rules. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I even think some of the one-page rules miniatures are pretty cool as well. But I do like the idea. Like right now, I am far more interested in either small company games or games where I bring my agnostic miniatures in and play with them, because I think some really creative and interesting game systems were being made like at the fringes of things. Yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, and I see, in printing, right, because you can just print up your own 3D models. Okay, you're assuming that you'll end up playing one-page rules or Stargrave. So, do you like Stargrave? Like, do you enjoy Stargrave? And like, if you like it, do you like it as a versus game, or do you like the cooperative version of it? I've been very interested in learning Stargrave, but the big hiccup for me was that Frostgrave was difficult for me to understand. And some of the difficulty came in like learning the rules through the Watch It Played channel, which generally Watch It Played has been very helpful for me to learn game systems. I learned like a lot of the card-based games that we play, and Zombicide, a bunch of different games I've learned there. Anyways, they had a video on Frostgrave. Sorry, they had like 4 or 5 videos on Frostgrave. And at some point, like when they were lining up the models in different configurations to determine who has like advantage or +1 or whatever, it just became really complicated, and it became like rules upon rules upon rules. And since there wasn't really a way for me to start playing and just learn without ignoring a series of, for example, if they had like page 1 through 30, here's all the rules you need to start your first game, and then we're going to start teaching you like 5 more rules per game. If they did something like, for example, Jaws of the Lion. Like Jaws of the Lion was such a perfect starter for a game. I don't like the system, and I don't find Gloomhaven fun, but I think the Jaws of the Lion board game experience, like where it's like it teaches you how to play while you play it, is very helpful. And I wish Frostgrave and Stargrave made a module that did that. That would be really, really helpful for me. Lost track of where we were. There we go. So you're assuming you'll end up in Stargrave or one-page rules. Okay, lots of people play Call of Cthulhu with nihilistic glee. It can be fun to know you're basically doomed, but not exactly know how. Yeah, I could see getting into a game like that. That's also a system I would love to play a character in. So, and that's what I might have to do, since this guy's not really interested in playing all these games. And also, you know, to be fair, I don't want to just drag our game night through a bunch of different games, because that's pretty disconnected. But I would like to get myself hooked into a few different people who play these games and just be a player, you know, and like, I don't know, do like an Irish accent or something, you know? That'd be fun. You switched from you switched from Pathfinder to Dragonbane, but now play the Dark Eye, which is a very rules-heavy German TTRPG, and you love it. Interesting. All right, so yeah, so why do you? Okay, it has so much content and such a wonderful fleshed-out world. Okay, so I'm guessing some of the reason you like the Dark Eye is the world building or the setting. Okay, tell me about the setting. I'm because like the Dolemwood setting seemed so interesting that I'd be like, wow, I want to learn this system, even though I wasn't really that interested in learning a new system. Let's see. You enjoy the structure heavy, rules light, if that makes sense. I'll have to think about that for a moment. You really like the fleshed out world, lots of combat options, character options, but lots of narrative room, and rules are very bendy. All right, so let's see. Let's go back up to what we're talking about. I'm guessing we're talking about Dolemwood.
No, that other game.
No, because it's a different person talking about it. Unless they also have played the Dark Eye. They're saying they enjoy the structure-heavy, rules-light version of the game. My thought is that's related to Dolemwood. And if it's AJ, if it's not related to Dolemwood, let me know. I'm jumping ahead down to where you said something about Mordheim. I'll get there in a minute. Okay. You wish there was a sci-fi skirmish game as good as Mordheim. That's exactly what I've been thinking. I am almost tempted to learn Mordheim, but I want a sci-fi version. It's still the best war game for long-term progression and narrative blend. The only downside, knowing nothing you are trying to. I jumped because the line moved. The only downside is your wife doesn't care about fantasy. Interesting. Okay. And I kind of don't care about fantasy that much. Like when I do, I like playing fantasy, and I like that we're playing in Shadowdark, and I would be interested in playing Dolemwood.
I definitely like fantasy more than sci-fi.
So someone recommended the Rangers of Shadowdeep, and so that system has been on my mind, and I've been thinking about picking it up, just to learn a cooperative skirmish game. Okay, so someone has a question for you here. So let me go through this one. So they want a sci-fi game. Okay. Costole also looks at fun RPG at a fun RPG. The premise is you're in a continent-sized castle courtyard. Wow, with castle golems wandering around. You start off knowing nothing, and you're trying to get to the roof. Interesting. So this is when you say Colestol, I'm assuming I think his name is Michael Colestol. He's like a DnD guy, like pretty popular DnD guy. I think that's what you're talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna take a picture of this too, because I want to figure out what this. If you know the name of this game, that sounds really interesting. I would love to read that system. RPG, continent-sized castle. Let's see. Go picture. Okay. All right. And so someone wants to ask you. AJ wants to know, Bishop, are you interested in longer driven story and more development? Like more continuity in general?
What does continuity mean?
Continuity, like world building, like this thing relates to this thing, this system relates to this continuity, like consistency.
Do I like longer stories or shorter stories?
Yeah. Are you interested in longer driven story and more development? Like more continuity in general? And I think he's asking that because you're interested in playing the same system, right? So I think the question he's asking is like, do you want to figure out the end of this Shadowdark story?
I guess I do like our campaign with Shadowdark a lot right now. It's been really fun.
Okay, all right. It's good to hear that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think that could be it, but some of it's also I like being able to master the thing I'm learning rather than just being okay at a bunch of things. I like.
So you like to have a character who's specialized?
No, I like myself being specialized.
Wait, what?
I like myself where I know I'm really good at a few things rather than being just okay at a bunch of things. Like
hang on. Hold on. I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Are you saying you like you, Bishop, or you like you, Bishop, when you're playing the game?
I like me Bishop.
To be specialized in a few things.
Because I like being able to know, like, fully how to play Marvel Crisis Protocol. I like me, Bishop, pretty much fully knowing how to play Shadow Dark.
So you don't like going into something and not being good at it.
Yeah.
You understand it when you're playing a tabletop role-playing game. Okay, let's say someone had a stream of Tales from the Loop, and they invited me, like, hey, jump on our stream, learn how to play, or whatever. They just have they have a Discord game, and they say jump in and learn the game. You understand, like there's no way for me to fail at that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just go, okay, so what do I roll? And they go, roll 5d6, and you're looking for 5s and 6s, and I go, I got none. And they go, okay, you fail, right? Like, I get to just walk through the thing. It's basically like someone saying, come, please, sit in our chair and have a nice massage, right? Like, I have to do nothing. I'm not asking you to know how to play the game. I'm asking you to attempt. You suck.
That's not, like, I guess, fully it, but that is probably, like...
Some of the thing is that you feel like you have to be good at it?
I not feel like I have to, but I want to be.
Let me catch up. All right, let's see. Dork Tales plays 10 candles if you want to see an experience. Okay, I gotta take another picture. I should get some note cards up here. It'd be easier than going back through all these photos later. Dork Tales. Whoa, what am I doing? You're tapping me.
Look.
Does it require me to stop taking this picture?
Look.
Oh, thank you. I do have. Oh. Okay, I apparently have some note cards here. All right. Dork Tales plays 10 candles, okay, right? Yeah, I would like to see 10 candles be played. That would be interesting. See, co-op would be cool, but my wife and I like playing against each other. Interesting. Okay, so you haven't tried Stargrave, but once you learn one-page rules, we'll probably take a look and try that out too. Model agnostic is huge for you because you've been painting miniatures for longer than you've been gaming, so you have a big collection of random stuff. Interesting. Okay, you bought stuff because you thought it was cool. What are you pointing at? What?
Among Us.
Among Us?
In there.
What are you talking about? This?
The Among Us puppet.
Say words. Say words. I don't know what you're pointing to. Yeah, that's where I would like to get to as well. I'd like to have I'd like to just build these guys and paint them and get them done. Even if I'm not going to use them for kill team, I want to have like guys ready for stuff. But I've actually moved ahead on this combat zone game because I have a strong suspicion that the combat zone game is fun for people who like crunchy mechanics. It has a good gambling system. Like, I like the gambling system inherently. I think it's clever. And I think that they're going to make a cooperative version of this game, and I think it's going to be wildly better than whatever garbage AMG comes up with for Marvel Crisis Protocol, because AMG is terrible at creating multiplayer. Yeah. Like, they're great at making a versus. They're cooperative. They're so bad. They're so poorly designed. Their books are incoherent. They're anything with more than 2 players. Even their ultimate encounters that are kind of 2-player mode, like they're just
3 players usually.
Right. There's someone, but you could just play them 2 players. Right? Yeah. It's just the problem is they're so broken and they're so either one-sided or lopsided or just boring. Like, we played the Thanos one I think 2 or 3 times now. And it has been uninteresting every single time.
Because it's just so unfair in the favor of Thanos.
It's Thanos just you're destroying Thanos, then Thanos is wrecking you, and then it's like it's just so unfun. I don't even know how to. I'm not looking forward to whatever Atomic Mass Games comes out with for Marvel Crisis as far as multiplayer, because we've already tried like 5 times. So I'm like, they're not going to be the ones to come up with a creative cooperative game. Someone else is, and I'm hoping that the Warhammer Kill Team co-op is interesting. Let's see. Very true. Okay, so I'm talking about Mordheim. I think I lost track of where we're at. There we go. Door candles. Okay, do love some Mordheim models. Are also so I've never seen any of the Mordheim models, but I have heard that Mordheim is one of like the most like fan, like what do you call it? Like fan-based games, like fan-supported games. Like they have a giant fan community because like the game has been shut down for 10 years. If I'm correct. Anyway, so and the premise of it is interesting because I guess it's basically Frostgrave but with more narrative focus. All right, yeah, the keyword. Okay, so the keywords were difficult for you, but you just asked the organizer of the event. Sadly, had some keywords that weren't usable on the current playfield. Interesting. Rolling for attacks was fun, but I needed a 4+ for magic and it was a bit unsatisfying. Our first 3 magic attacks missed, which makes sense. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. So we experienced a little bit of jankiness in the keywords with one-page rules. And I'll give you an example, but without specificity because I forgot the keyword.
I think it was blast.
No, that's not the one I'm talking about. So there was a keyword in one-page rules where a player basically got to heal for some reason. Okay, like it was like regeneration or something.
You could not take damage.
They could choose not to take damage. Okay, and it
wasn't choose not to, but if you rolled a dice, and got a 5 or 6,
there you go.
Can take damage.
So you rolled, and your character got like a deflection. All right, and that was called like, let's say like life force or something. Then there was a robot.
Regeneration.
Okay, it was called regeneration. Okay, it's called regeneration. Then there was a robot group, and the robot group had the exact same power but less good. And it was like, you got to roll a 6 and the same thing happens. And I'm like, why? Why make 2 of the exact same power across different units, but one of them is just worse than the other one? And I get it. Maybe it's like for narrative reasons.
But you can stack them.
But now I got, okay, so I can stack them maybe. But now I got to like remember 2 different dumb things. And it's like, you know, it's just, it felt janky to me. And some of the other things that felt really janky in one-page rules were there's a lot of like universal rules because it's supposed to be army and skirmish. So there was a bunch of places where I'm trying to understand the rule and it's talking about like unit and model. And I'm like, okay, I disregard this one because I'm playing the skirmish version.
But there were units in it, but they were uncommon.
Right, and it felt like the reason why they were putting multiple models into units was simply for the wargame version. And it's like, I don't know. It felt janky. You know, it felt like they might be trying to consolidate too much. I'm just like, just make a skirmish version and make a wargame version. You know. All right. Let's see. Rolling for attacks. Okay. Curious. What types of challenges do you have or experience with learning new games? Oh my goodness. Okay. So. Oh, okay. Some of it is I played video games for a long time. Right. So I learned how to play games by navigating a thing, you know, and then video games became like really dumb over like the last 5 or 6 years where there was like a hand holding, like, okay, it started with like the Medal of Honor games, but then it just got worse and worse over time to the point where you're playing like a Tomb Raider game and Tomb Raider is constantly telling you, if only I could open doors over there. You know, I did see a door over there, didn't I? Like she just won't shut up and you're like, I get it. I'm supposed to do something with the door, right? And so I think that may have dumbed me down a lot. Like whatever intuitive ability I had to learn games when I was younger is probably gone now. But I mean, like I do like learning games. There's just times where I'm going through a rule book. For example, I'm going through like Marvel Crisis Protocol and I'm learning something about some aspect of the game and I just can't picture it. Like, you know, like I can't put it from the words I'm reading into play. And I sort of have to do that, which is why I generally watch a playthrough from Watch It Played first, or I watch someone play the game, like just little tidbits here and there. Like, for example, trying to think, I watched this Cyberpunk game. I started watching some playthroughs. And I got an idea of how it works. And so I got a sense of like, but the problem here, for example, in this Cyberpunk, perfect example, there's a system in this combat zone game called Inspire. And the mechanic is like, it's beyond me. I cannot understand it. And the way it's worded in the rule book makes no sense to me. Because essentially what it seems to be, and this is my understanding of it, you activate all your different units, right? Okay, so I activate this unit, then this unit, then this unit, okay? But then I have these characters called gonks. And these gonks are basically grunts in Marvel Crisis Protocol. But instead of like in Marvel Crisis Protocol where the grunt activates during a specific character, the gonks activate at the end of a round. But if you decide, you can make one of the gonks inspire your team, and then you ready all of your team members, and I'm just like, what the heck is that? Hold on.
It's really overpowered.
Right, I'm like, so why wouldn't everyone just do that? Hold on, and I'm like, okay, does that mean you get 2 activations per turn? And then I'm kind of like, so if one player fails to inspire their whole team using their gonks, that player basically dies? And then I'm trying to figure that out, and like that problem is like, I'm just stuck right there. Because I can't figure out this Inspire system, and this rule doesn't make any sense, and the book doesn't do it doesn't do a good job of bringing the information to the table. So I'm totally hung up on this game until I look up how does Inspire work, because that mechanic is beyond me, and that thing is like, I mean, that's a crucial aspect of understanding the game. All right, let's see. That was their Agile Monk was curious. Yeah, I mean, I also struggle with games that have layers upon layers. Like, I got the basics of Kill Team, but there were some aspects about like going loud or going quiet that I didn't quite understand. And then on top of that, it seems to me that I kind of need to understand how all the teams work. You know, like in the case of Frostgrave, where I'm like, okay, look, I understand. I make a team, step one, good, I made a team. But I can't get past step one until I actually understand why I would want to make a team a certain way or another, which means I kind of need to understand how the game plays before I can make a team and do step one. You see, like, and a lot of these games are that way. I think if a lot of these game companies just started you out with a single player version of the game and went, first roll up a character, now pick a spell, now pick 10 minions to follow you, now step into the battleground, put your miniature on the table, move 5 inches, there's a monster right in front of you, you know. And it's like, if they did that type of stuff and walked you through the mechanics of it like a video game, because I think a lot of these game systems either require someone to show you how to play the game, which means I need to learn it, because it's not like it's not like this guy's gonna learn it, it's not like my friends are gonna learn it. And some of these games assume that you've got a friend who's gonna learn it to you, right? I'm like, I don't have that. All right. Historically, at least Necromunda is the sci-fi version of Mordheim. Might be what you're looking for. It depends on if you like the sci-fi flavor. I like some of the Warhammer stuff. It's when we start getting into like the courts of the flesh eaters that I go, I don't know if I like grimdark things, you know. But Necromunda has been interesting to me. I think a lot of the gang look to them is pretty cool. I think the models look cool. So I have looked at that one at the game store, but I did not know that it was like Mordheim. That makes it a little more interesting to me. Is he? If I'm understanding right, he's saying he wants to understand a game inside and out fully. He wants to master it. Okay, he wants to master the game. That's your win condition. Okay, so
that's exactly it.
Okay, he says you got it exactly right. Okay, so he says that's interesting. He's the exact opposite. He loves being in a drop in the ocean and feeling overwhelmed by the scope of a game. Interesting. I think I would really enjoy that. I'd
rather not be a jack of all trades and be the jack of one trade, I guess, was what it would be.
I got you. So I understand what he's saying, and that's kind of how I felt when I used to play like Hearthstone. I used to play like not like super aggressively. I wasn't like a pro player or anything, but I was pretty good. You know, and there was like net decks and stuff, and I like to make my own and come up with my own decks and come up with things I hadn't seen before, which meant I was generally not that great because, you know, but I understand the thing. Like, you play one game and you try and master it and you get like the best ever. I think with tabletop games, since I know so little about them and I'm still trying to figure out like, okay, does this count as a tabletop game or a board game? Is this a card game or, you know, and then it's like, okay, well, how many different types of role-playing games are there? And how many different types would benefit from miniatures and all that stuff? So that's all new to me. And so as I'm I feel like the Nightmare Jack guy, you know, just like, what's this? What's this? You know, it's like, it's snow, man, calm down. So I think that's kind of how I go into it, and he's more like, I'm staying in Halloween Town because we know how this Halloween works.
Well, because also I'm young enough to where I'm at a point where I can master things.
So he's saying because I'm old, I'm never gonna be the master. That was like that was a subtle burn. All right, well, let me go back to these historic Necromunda. Okay, understanding. Okay, I totally understand that. Yeah, and I think you will probably end up on the DM side. Okay, so he's saying you're probably going to be a DM at some point. I have already thought a little bit about that, like how I'd get him dungeon mastering, and some of that came to me in that comment that I read earlier today. I wish I could remember the name. Here, let me see if I can find the name of the video I was watching. This dude sent me, he didn't send me a link, but he sent me a suggestion to, like, hey, check out this video. Here we go. Trick your players into playing a Bronstein. This is a video on the Joy of Wargaming channel. The Joy of Wargaming. So they have a video on how to trick your players into playing a Bronstein. And I think their explanation of like what this thing is, like how to do this thing, is really interesting, because you're kind of teaching your players how to dungeon master, but you're also offloading some of your own dungeon master's duties by asking them, hey, what do you think the goblins would do now that you stole their boat? Like what do you think they're gonna do? And then you let your players kind of do some of your world building. I thought it was really interesting. So yeah, I am interested in teaching him how to do DMing, and I think he would have a good time with it. Okay. Oh, Colostal is the name of the game. Okay, pronounced like colossal. Colossal. I see. Okay. It's a solo RPG, actually. Fantastic. Studio Ghibli meets Hilda. Art style really sets the scenes. Interesting. Okay, so I have questions about solo RPGs, and these questions are going to sound toxic is the wrong word. Okay, they're gonna sound insensitive. No. Okay, I'm just gonna say them. I'm not gonna give you the disclaimer. Do you feel like a loser when you play a solo RPG? I don't mean that you should feel like that. I'm not judging you. My thought is that I would be playing a solo RPG and just feel like a loser, right? Like, because there's a part of it where I'm like, this feels like it's something I should do with a friend. But okay, mind you, I have played video games before, and I have a great enjoyment playing video games. I have also played Marvel Champions. That game was pretty fun as a solo player. But sometimes I felt a little bit like a loser because my son and my wife wouldn't play with me. So I was just like, fine, we'll play my own game, right? Now, the Slay the Spire board game, I think I would actually play it and have a good time just playing the game, right? Because I think I love Slay the Spire, and I'm already like mentally going, yeah, I would have fun building a deck in this game and trying to do the different things. And I think I like the game as much as the video game. So
I think I like him more.
Well, multiplayer, definitely better. Multiplayer, that game is way better than the video game, and I'm surprised that was possible. But I could play that game solo and not feel like a loser. I'm sure there are other games I could find to play solo not like a loser, but I'm interested. Like if you're playing a TTRPG, is there something kind of going in the back of your mind going like, this is lonely or something, right? Like, especially if you're playing like a not app-based version. Because like if it has an app and it's telling you the story, then it kind of, I guess, feels like a choose your own adventure book or something, or maybe like a video game. Anyways, that's my like I've been learning the Ironsworn game with this guy in Croatia, which has been helpful. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I'd play it by myself. Like maybe I'd play it on a stream and like record it and like read off my responses or something. But then that's not really playing by myself, right? Like that's playing for the purpose of creating content. So I'm like, I'm kind of in my head, I'm like, I wonder if anyone, like, does anyone actually really enjoy solo RPGs or solo board games, like, for the sake of them on their own? And then I'm, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but this, don't take this with, like, judgment. Like, I'm like, you should feel like a loser. That's not how I mean it. I mean it like, do you get it? Do you get it? I'm trying not to be insulting. All right, okay, let me jump back to where, okay, historic, okay. Colossal, okay, right, solo RPG, all right. Okay, Kumit the Bear, I'll look at that. You love Warhammer vibe and the lore and look. Okay, people seem jaded about the current Warhammer 40k rules, so you're a little sad and you just bought in. Okay, you're just a little sad you bought in. I had the same thought about buying the Warhammer stuff because I bought it, but to be honest, I really like the models. And I like the figures, and I like that we started making our own board game with them. And you know what? Here's the thing. Even if I don't find a use for them in like some board game I'm trying to make for Riker, I would still use the models for the Alien RPG, right? Like, and I'm interested in getting the Alien RPG and maybe like playing that game. Like, well, we could use the Space Marines as like, Marines, and we could use the Tyranid as xenomorphs, right? Like, I'm just like, whatever, it totally works. Anyways. So, I mean,
or in our friend's game.
Our friend is designing an Alien versus Predator game, and I'm like, yeah, we could totally use him for that too.
Alien versus Predator versus Marine.
Sorry, Alien versus Predator versus Marine, yeah. So, and there are even board games. So, yeah. So I have that thought, and also, yeah, I can find some other miniature agnostic game, and like having this kill team, I'm like, I kind of want to just make the models and stuff. So, all right, so I missed a bunch. Warhammer lore and vibe. Okay, you just said you just bought into it. You can play the older rule set with friends. I know that's not the same, but it's still fun. My house doesn't mind playing older rule versions. Which version of... Okay, so which one is still is the gold standard? Oh, I'd be interested to know this as well. I have gotten the idea that a lot of people don't like 10th edition, but I've also gotten the idea that... Hold on. 11th edition is coming up pretty soon, like in a year. All right, let's see. Chris, a lot of the older dudes at my shop always mention 4th edition. Okay, I heard 7th wasn't bad either, but 8th was deeply unpopular. Okay, yeah, I'm self-flagellating Shadow Dark player. Okay. So I still prefer the old version of Tomb Raider where you die a million times attempting impossible jumps rather than climbing white paint ledges. That's exactly right. It's like you can't even turn off the thing. Like you can turn off the lady like yelling at you to go to the door every few minutes, but like I don't know if you can turn off the paint. Maybe you can, but it's like that I have to do that. I should have to go in and turn on the dumb baby version, you know, as opposed to it just being always the dumb baby version. I think that some of that comes from what's that messenger running game? Mirror's Edge? Everything's like red and you can't really go off the rails. Yeah. Let's see, maybe it's a generational thing too. My son really deep dives into a system and wants to know all of its complexities. I'm definitely guilty being a jack of all trades. How old is your son? I guess that'd be my question.
I just turned 14.
So this guy just turned 14, and my thought is like maybe it's a video game thing. Like maybe it's growing up with video games. You just kind of get enmeshed in, you know what I mean? Like you want to know all of how the system works and stuff. Yeah. Let me go back to where I was. Okay, so jack of all trades, master, jack of all trades, master of none. That's mean. Albeit better than a master of one. Okay. Master of none, I'll be better than master of one. Not according to this guy, but also I understand. I also fixate until I master. Play competitive. Oh, okay. He plays competitive Magic the Gathering. Very vertical with heavy learn curve. When you play competitive Magic the Gathering, do you play like the wild format where you can just use anything like in Commander and stuff, or you play like current meta? Because I feel like the current meta is always the most expensive version of the game. And if you are good enough, you can pay pretty well. Oh, it can pay pretty well. Really? Oh, right, because you can do tournaments. Interesting. Okay. Do you feel like a loser playing? Do you feel like a loser playing solo RPGs? Quote of the night. Yeah, I mean, okay, all right. I'm gonna get to your answer in a minute. So Chris is laughing. Okay. Feel like a loser. Oh, it's like choose your own adventure. Book with lore and challenges. Used to play Halo pretty seriously, but I never felt silly playing playing a firefight or a campaign on my own. Interesting. Okay, so all right, question about Halo. Do you mean Halo the video game, or do you mean Halo like some sort of skirmish game? Because I don't know. I didn't know that existed. I knew that Mantic. I think Mantic is the game company that's making a Halo, but it also could be the Combat Zone people. You know what? I think it's the Combat Zone people. What are they called?
You have the box.
I know. I'm looking for the box. There we go. Fight Club. Monster Fight Club. It's either Mantic or Monster Fight Club making Halo. Anyways, let me know if that's the same Halo you mean, or is there a single-player skirmish version of Halo? Because I would probably get it and try it. Because I do want to figure out if there's a fun way to play solo games. Not that I am necessarily focusing on that. But I part of my morbid curiosity wants to like sit down at a table for a night and play like a non-card game of a solo game.
That sounds sad.
Just to see if I feel like a loser. See, this guy's even judging me for it. Like he'd be up in his room and he'd come out towards the end of my game and just like shake his head. Right?
Just laugh at you.
Okay, so he wouldn't even say anything. He'd just laugh at me. All right.
I don't think I would actually do that, but
I hope you would.
It sounds funny.
Yes, the world feels very empty. I know what you mean. Okay, the setting has to be right to play a solo game. Diablo is a very good solo play. Power scaling feels really important to you for you in solo play. Okay, so all right, so yeah, I would want to know. What solo play game have you played that had interesting power scaling? Yeah, that's the thing. Is okay. Like when I've messed around with Ironsworn, when I messed around with Ironsworn, I had the thought like this is interesting with two people. this could be interesting with 10 people. Like this could be, well, okay, not that many, maybe like 5 or 6 people. This could be interesting with a DM-less version of a game where we all kind of come up with our worst conditions and we have like a system of resources and I go, oh, I'm gonna let the monster hit me, like, right? But to play it on your own, like there's like, okay, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too self-aware. Like maybe I'm just being too aware of my own thoughts while I'm having them. I don't know, you get what I mean? Like there's a part where like you're doing it and you're going, am I crazy right now? I'm saying words out loud to myself. Or I'm not saying words out loud to myself and I'm staring blankly at a table, right? Like if you just measure out the mechanics of playing a solo RPG, it's sort of like, I can't do it without feeling crazy in my head. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's not even like in the loser realm. Like again, this isn't a judgment. This is like me going, I feel like I would feel this way playing it. But nonetheless, this has got me wildly curious about the solo RPG thing. And I found a few channels that like features exclusively solo RPGs. While I have zero interest in getting into solo RPGs, I'm wildly interested to understand them. I don't know if that makes sense, right? Like I just want to like you get it? Like, I'm not really interested in Animal Crossing, but I'm certainly curious about the fixation, you know, and like to figure out that it's not my thing is one thing, right? But at the same time, whose thing is it is kind of more interesting. Probably a certain type of imagination play. Okay, so, all right, it's probably a certain type of imagination solo play is rewarding for. You don't have that kind of brain, you can't play solo play. And that might be me too. And I don't know if it's a social thing. You know, like, okay, here, for example, like, you know, there's some people who are they call them introverts or extroverts, right? Like an introvert, like they gotta burn energy when they're hanging out with people, and an extrovert gets energy from hanging out with people. And so my thought is like, maybe solo RPGs are like they tickle the interests of one of those personality types, but not the other. I don't know which one I am because it feels like I burn energy in social settings sometimes and other times it doesn't. So I don't know. But like, maybe it's one of those things. All right, let me go back there. Yeah, someone's going to clip, I'm probably going to clip myself saying, do you feel like a loser playing solo games?
You could get like 10 million views.
I could probably offend a large portion of the people who play games on my channel. It's not meant that way. I'm just like, I guess my thing is like, look, I want to find that game that is interesting because I kind of would want to understand what was interesting about it. I suppose in some ways, a game that is fun solo, single player, could be a really fun cooperative game as well. And it could be a cooperative game you could play DM-less, right? Yeah, anyways, okay. All right, so haven't played solo, but looking into it, okay, thinking, okay, what happened?
I grabbed a whole glob of paint.
You probably should wipe that off. Yeah. Put your here. I'll try and refocus the camera in a minute, but put your thing right here. Let me see if it's in focus. Right here where my hand is. There you go. That's where you paint right there.
No way.
No? Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, so I haven't played solo, but you looked into it. You thought, okay, I think a lot of the secret sauce is the idea of brainstorm concepts based on the Oracle dice. Okay, I've seen a little bit about the Oracle dice, like a true-false system. And someone even recommended using that. Someone in one of my comments recommended using that for figuring out what like a NPC does in the moment. Like if you can't really decide what they do, like use Oracle dice. That sounded interesting. Let's see. Looking at the Oracle. Okay. It can be a creative exercise like writing. And, you know, I could understand that as well. I can understand I can understand the idea of doing a solo RPG for making content. I can understand the idea for creating a story, like maybe a video story. I can understand the idea for using the story elements and writing a real story. Like those could all be interesting things that fleshed out a story in an interesting way, but none of those things are for playing the game. Like, right, all of those things are actually kind of a different sort of creativity that are using the game to a different, as a means to an end, right? Or let's see, or maybe not as a means to an end, but using it as an end to an end. Like it's still a symbiotic thing, but the purpose is something else, not the game, right? So I agree. That would be a great way to do creative writing. Let's see. Solo RPGs could be cool if you had envelopes with different locations and left notes, and then have a friend play the solo RPG using the same locations so you can leave notes to each other. Interesting. Okay, so you set up some sort of passing system with another person to create your solo RPGs. And I guess my thought is, why not just play with that person? You know what I mean? Like scheduling. I know. Scheduling is like the monster behind the scenes. All right, let's see. Although that idea is interesting, and that idea kind of reminds me of this thing I was talking about before, the Bronstein thing. Like, for example, I set up a faction in our Shadow Dark campaign, like the Spiders, right? And then I go and I approach Landon and I go, yo, what do you think those spiders are going to get up to now, you know? And then he tells me, and then I put that in the game, and then my players interact with it. And, you know, there's in some ways he's passed me a letter, you know, with some ideas about how to run my game. I kind of like that, and I'm probably going to start using it. I think that's very fun. All right, so okay, Shadow Dark added a set of solo rules as well. Okay, they can be great. I looked over those a little bit. They can be great practice exercise for stepping into RPGs, especially as practice for DMing yourself, right? Good for learning the rules. Interesting. Okay, so I agree. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Right, and I have looked at the idea of the Oracle thing from Shadow Dark. Actually, remind me, I think that's where I first saw it, was in the Shadow Dark solo thing, because I'm pretty sure her module's free. And I guess it seemed a little simplistic at first, but I would probably say, honestly, I haven't looked into it enough to determine how simplistic or what I think is simplistic about it. But it still seems like I've got to do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as creativity. And in some ways it feels like playing chess with yourself, right? But no, more like playing more like playing Monopoly with yourself. There it is. It feels like playing Monopoly with yourself and trading yourself Park Place for, you know, I don't know, Ventura Avenue, right? Like, you basically know you just set up this other player for a really sweet deal. You know, it's like, all right, you can tell me what your thoughts are, but that's kind of what I perceive it to be like. At least it would be nothing like playing cooperatively with people, right? I mean, it's almost like a totally different game. Let's see. Your son is 12. So Chris says his son is 12. What sort of video games does your son like, Chris? I'll try and speed up with these comments because I know I'm like several minutes behind. You made your bed playing standard and legacy. Oh, okay, all right. To the Magic. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. Interesting. You have a favorite deck type? I always liked blue and black to be more specific. Some blue and green. I think anything blue. I love card draw and Magic. When I was playing it back in like the early 2000s, late 90s, Magic, it felt very like card starved. If you weren't playing blue, basically you were always down to like whatever that's called, drawing and playing. There's a word for it. Top decking. Like every other deck I played, I was top decking by like turn 4 or 5, and blue's sitting over there just with endless card draw opportunities. You meant Halo the video game. Okay, sorry. Forgot that it has an RPG as well, because of course it does. That's right, of course it does. It has a huge online community, but in Halo 1, everybody started off playing the same first level. You're right, man. Halo 1 was such a great game. Halo 1 was the reason I bought the Xbox. Like, no kidding. It was sitting, I was working at EB Games at the time, and it was sitting on display in my store, and every night after we got done counting down the registers, we went on and we just started playing the first level, escaping what's this? It's a spaceship. Yeah, anyways, ending up on the ring, and then you're there and you're picking up the pistol, and then you get the warthog, and it was just oh man, it was so good. I think we even had a save game on that system, like that we just kept going to and playing after work. At some point I was like, I have to own this, and then we went from there to like playing the LAN games. Like, LAN games were so good, and then Halo 2 came out and it ruined it all. Halo 2 was like the end of cool video games, because you could play with like 16 people in the same room, the same game. You could play like a 4-on-12 game, which we did sometimes, and you felt like total monsters just holding off 12 players. It was so fun. And then Halo 2 came out, just ruined everything. It was like, well, we'll all just play at our own house. Like, we're not going to go out anymore. No more pizza together. Sorry, I got on a rant. Let's see. You think you have to actually be... Okay. You think you actually have to be in a completely adversarial... Okay, hold on. I think you actually have to be in a completely adversarial world for solo play to make sense. Interesting. Like a Judge Dredd solo RPG. Diablo Walking Dead... with randomizer elements. Interesting. All right, watching Me, Myself, and Die YouTube channel got you into solo RPGs. Okay, it feels like a critical role level of solo RPG because Trevor is so talented, but worth a look if you were curious. Okay, so Kumit, I would be interested to know how your own solo RPG experiences have measured up to Trevor, who is very talented. And I think I have watched him play something. If I haven't, I might, I might be mistaken. I found his channel though, but maybe I watched him play something. Okay, honestly, I might write up a Judge Dredd test solo light system now, just to see if I can make it work. I would be interested to see that. Yeah, that would be cool. Right, because if you can make up some sort of system where the solo rules adjudicate what you as the player / dungeon master have to do based on certain outcomes or something, right? Like that could be interesting. And maybe there's a way for the game to hard rule on something that you choose to do in the game. But I guess you would also know that, so maybe you'd never choose to do it. I don't know. Honestly, okay, so your loser question. If kind of honest appeal your channel has, okay, lean into it. I mean, I am, but it's like, okay, okay, so I'll probably make a video on this now just so it's like a short thing or whatever. It's gonna be titled, do you feel like a loser playing solo games?
And then you're gonna start the video with the clip from the stream.
I don't know. You know what? I'm doing this. I'm gonna make it tomorrow. But okay, because all right, this is honestly the thing I'm wondering. Right? I have Marvel Champions. I enjoyed Marvel Champions. Okay, it was fun, but I would never choose to play it by myself. And like my thought is like, okay, I feel like the people who play Marvel Champions are doing it because they're streaming it, right? And so really you're not playing it solo, like you're playing a theater card game. But like, would you really set up all this stuff just to have this experience by yourself? Oh my goodness. And then you find out that you played a card wrong 3 turns ago. And so now that you played a card wrong 3 turns ago, Ultron has 2 extra drones out and you die. And it's like, what do you end up doing? You go, you know what? I'm just going to say I played that card 3 turns ago so I don't lose the game I'm playing against myself. That feels really pathetic or something, right? I mean, like, I understand, like, not everyone has friends that they can play with, but, like, in reality, you could just show up to the board game store. There's gonna be some nerd there who plays the same nerd game that you play. I could go to Shuffle and Cut tomorrow. I could go to the Realm tomorrow. I could find one of 6 games I'm interested in being played there on a constant basis. And, like, okay, yeah, I have to deal with having a conversation with someone I don't know, but, like,
eventually they'll become your friend.
Right. I mean, wouldn't that be better than playing the game by yourself? I mean, like, okay, some of this feels like a video game culture thing, right? Like, I got used to playing The Witcher, so I should play The Witcher where I'm the game and The Witcher. I don't get it. And that's where I'm like, okay, so I have an Oracle system. And the Oracle system, I go, okay, is this cave populated? Yes or no? Okay, it goes true. The cave is populated. Okay, does my character, are they so curious they go in the cave? Yes, I decide they are. All right, who's it? And then it's like, at some point, it's like, I don't know. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to have an experience actually playing the Iron Sworn game as opposed to just being taught it with the dude from Croatia. I don't know, like, I know he might watch this, and like, I know your name, but I don't want to say it on the stream. Anyway, so I might play with the guy in Croatia and get a better understanding for Iron Sworn to the degree that I go, okay, I get how this would be fun even by myself. But still, in the back of my mind, I think I'm 90% likely to use whatever I would create in a single game as like a story, right? Like I would just make a video of it or something. Like, I mean, I feel like that's what everyone's doing. Okay, if I'm wrong and if you've played a solo tabletop RPG game by yourself, right? And there wasn't like an AI. It wasn't a war game. Like it wasn't Stargrave with like a little AI that tells you how the robots, move and kill you. It was a tabletop RPG where you played the person coming up with the monster and the person who fights the monster, right? I mean, that seems a little, there's a word for it, but it's not quite accurate and it's not quite what I mean, so I'm not going to use it. But that seems a little bit, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It seems so self-reflective that it kind of defeats the purpose of the entire genre of games. Right? I mean, this is a genre of games that is built on solo, like that's all built. It's built on multiplayer. Like it's kind of the antithesis of solo play because we have a person who runs the game. It's like, right. Anyways, I don't know how to get around it, but if you've gotten around it and you played it and you had a great experience, I'd be interested to know what you played, how it was. Just unload, fill a whole comment. Like I'm gonna read all of it because I don't get it. And since I'm watching videos on YouTube explaining solo play games, there's an aspect of it that becomes like Memento. No, a different self-fulfilling like narrative, right? But it is like one of those postmodern things, and I don't want to get all, I don't want to get all like Berger or something. But there is something about recording a thing that makes it have value suddenly. And so if my purpose of teaching you all these solo RPGs is to create content for solo RPGs, it would kind of be impossible for me to ever find out if I liked solo RPGs. Sorry, I went into the postmodern. I didn't mean to. All right, let me get back to the comments here. Son is 12. Okay, Magic the Gathering. Meant the Halo video game. Okay, I think you have to be complete adversarial. Right, I don't know what to do with that. You're right, I agree. Making a Judge Dredd game. The loser question. I am going to ask that, and I know it's going to come off divisively, and I just mean it in a way that I totally don't understand it. Right. Okay, solo RPGs are about immersion. Okay, so White Wolf RPG novels are a great example of your choose your own adventure RPG book. But most fully fleshed out solo RPGs basically come with their own art lore book too. Interesting. I wonder if the art lore book has something compelling to it. Like if you have an art and lore aspect of your game, if maybe the lore part makes it interesting. As a forever DM, solo RPG doesn't seem like much more of a heavy lift. Yeah, okay, so try it. Like I'm serious. I'm interested in knowing how your experience was. Kumit, when you have a free time, give it a go. Give it like 2 or 3 hours or something, or an hour, and let me know what you think of it. I am still in the process of like needing to learn a system of that, and like when I actually finally understand Ironsworn and I know more of like the moves and which move is appropriate for which thing, then I'll play a game by myself and I will make a video about that. And I might say, if you play solo RPGs, you're a loser. I hope I don't say that. Okay, see, my kid likes roguelites, okay, platformers. He seems to love mesmerizing patterns. Interesting. He's beat every single Mega Man game, which blows your mind. Risk of Rain, I like Risk of Rain. Dead Cells, Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight, those are all awesome games. Has your son played, what's the one that's like Hollow Knight? SteamWorld Dig 2. SteamWorld Dig 2. That was a really cool game. There's another one of those games that's kind of roguelite.
Oh, Rogue Legacy.
Did he mention that one? Rogue Legacy.
No, but...
Oh, yeah, Rogue Legacy's kind of like the Shovel Knight game, though. Yeah, okay.
I like Rogue Legacy, too.
Typically, you play Esper, Bant, Bug, and Commander. Hold on. Oh, okay, we're talking about Magic. Okay. Typically, you play Esper, Bant, Bug, and Commander. In Legacy, you played Elves and Miracles. Standard, you played whatever was meta and viable at the time. Okay. I don't know what Esper, Bant, or Bug is, but I can guess they're acronyms or something for the type of deck plays.
Sort of commander.
Yeah. I know Magic, but like tertiary Magic. I played for a long time, but with a limited collection of cards that another friend gave me. So I wasn't like ever into the meta, or making net decks. We just had like garbage green and blue decks or something. Look forward to that video if the feedback receives. Okay, I actually think it will go over really well though. It's just a hilarious idea. Okay, I hope it doesn't come off poorly. Video will be good. Way to attract comments from people who know a lot. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Like, I actually do want to understand it. Like, if all the people who answer have a channel that's surrounding like solo play games, there's a part of me where I go, well, you don't count, you know, like because you're using it for content. You're not using it for like a solo experience, right?
You're not really using it for entertainment.
Right. The entertainment
It's
is
more
in
of
you.
like your job.
Sure, you're doing work right now, right? Or you're doing it for the comment section or something. Anyway, so I would be interested to hear from the people who do this and don't have a YouTube channel, and they're like, "Yo, you don't understand. This thing's great. It's the best." Wouldn't the real loser be someone playing a solo RPG with someone else? Okay, joke. Okay, right. I get it. Yeah. I think you might be looking at solo RPGs from the wrong end. They have enough structure and presentation that it's not like being both the DM and the player in a sandbox RPG like D&D. Interesting. Okay, so you might be right. I might not have enough of an idea of how the Oracle system works as a way of mitigating choices or mitigating agency, I guess. Agency on the back end. You're probably right. I definitely haven't looked at enough of them. Given that they're not really like a thing I'm focusing on this channel because I'm trying to get families playing together, I don't think
individual people playing well.
I don't think I'd ever feature a solo play game, but at the same time, I would be interested in learning the solo play game just to understand it. And like, for example, with the Ironsworn game, it can be played with like 5 or 6 players.
Dad.
Yeah.
Question for the comments: how do you paint the curb well?
The curb?
Yeah, the curb.
Oh, okay. So he wants concrete. You got to show it in the. You're putting it away from the thing. Now point to the curb or whatever. Yeah.
There. How do I
you,
focus
you understand where the camera is, right?
It's.
You got to rotate it. you have like.
I'm trying to make it focus.
Oh, I see. Okay, so focus. Yeah. Well, I got to twist it. You gonna keep it where it is?
Yes.
Is that where you're gonna be painting? Put it where you're gonna be painting. I'll focus.
I paint here.
Yeah.
Or here.
You make me rotate it. Okay. Can you move it down? There. Okay. Let me get the curb. There we go. Try that. Stay. All right, that's a little better. Okay. So now you have to keep it there. So he wants to know how to paint the curb.
I got the whole sidewalk.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably looking at
sidewalk.
Probably looking at what? Yes. Okay. So he wants to know how to do the asphalt, the sidewalk.
No, the sidewalk.
Sorry, the sidewalk.
The concrete.
Concrete. Okay. He says dry brushing.
Okay.
He hates dry brushing.
I'll try it.
Okay.
I'm not a very good dry brusher.
All right. Let's see. Esper is okay. White, blue, black. Esper. White, blue, black. Okay. Bug is blue, green, black. Bant is blue, white, green. Interesting. I would be okay. So yeah, I guess I'd want to know how you got those names from it, but you don't have to go.
A bug makes sense.
Okay.
I don't know what a bant is, and I don't know what an esprit is.
Oh, he says, okay, he will offer advice on the painting in a second. He's doing a T7 Horde in Diablo. Diablo 3 or Diablo, was it 4? 4? Which one are you playing? Okay.
What is a T7 Horde?
I'm guessing it's
tier 7.
No, it's Torment 7.
Oh.
I'm guessing he's doing Diablo 4 because I haven't played Horde mode. I've only done Rifts, so I'm guessing Horde is probably a new mode in Diablo 4. All right, see, yes, Espers. Okay, we got to that. Better lore explanation, Mr. Pirate Dancer. Okay, so let's see where was Pirate Dancer talking back. Oh, there we go. Oh, I see. Okay. They're from the Shards of Alara set. Okay. They are locations that were based around 3 colors each. Alara was all 5 colors at the end of the set. Interesting. Okay. All right. Oh, and that's the lore explanation. Okay. No worries, AJ. They're both useful explanations. Okay. Dry brushing, advice. Okay, he's offering advice. Okay. Diablo 4. Okay. It's almost time for bed. It is 11:15.
I'm almost done painting.
You're almost done with that character altogether. So he says dry brushing. So I'd grab this small dry brush in here.
Okay.
Why are you handing it to me? I gotta grab it?
Yes.
Here. Grab the medium one, like this one here.
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. And then I would get the concrete, the stone. I get the stone colored.
Sure. Textured sounds good.
I want textured. Okay, yeah, texture's okay. Back in the gym. Woo. Oh, no problem. Back from the gym. Or just a color comp. No problem,
probably
Chris.
Textured mostly.
Chris, thank you for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. And I appreciate your feedback. Yeah, this is giving me a good idea for a video that I have legitimate questions, and you all can look forward to the comments section.
The loser are you have to find it somewhere in the stream and like take the clip.
No, because that would require me to edit, and
you have to do that. Like it's required.
I'm just going to say the same thought. Okay.
No, you have to take it from the stream.
Why do I have to take it from the stream? Really? Okay. Okay, solo games are particularly useful for pre-written chunks of content content you can reuse for group games. He says, do you have anything grainy? Okay, while we're still finishing up his painting, I got a couple more questions for you, TSL frontman. So, all right, so for example, let's say I'm interested in playing Dolemwood, right? And I wanna get to know the world of Dolemwood. I could try playing a solo version of Dolemwood. Like, could I just take an Oracle system from Shadow Dark, let's say, or another game, and could I play any game solo for the sake of exploring the world and like understanding like how I think I get what you're saying. Like, there's some way where you can pre-written chunks of content. Okay, so for example, I could try and play solo for a module. You know, I mean, is that like, would that be a good use of would that be a good use of an Oracle system? Like, for example, to learn Ben Milton's Waking of Willoughby Halls. And I guess if that's the case, I go, you know what, that is useful, because I have been a little bit apprehensive about running the Waking of Willoughby Halls, mostly because we're in the middle of another campaign. But at the same time, I'm like, I need to read through more of it, or get to know more of it or something, right? Anyways, okay, so he says, do you have anything grainy, like sand, modeling snow? Oh, we do have asphalt stuff.
Got it.
Oh, that stuff is super chunky. Yeah, I don't.
No, this one.
It's kind of chunky. It's kind of chunky.
No, but this is like sand.
It is a little bit, right? He was talking about the modeling sand or snow stuff. We don't actually. Oh, actually, we have some. Yeah, no, we have some snow. Not in there. Right, no, top one, right here. Yeah, right there. That's sand, snow.
Oh yeah, that's
all right.
good.
Yes, we do have sand, like modeling snow. Yeah, I mean, I think it might be taken that way, and I can understand how someone could get upset or offended by that take, especially if they really enjoy solo playing. And that is where I'm thinking, like, maybe there is a difference in personality types. Like, it might be a personality type thing. But yes, the question is still funny. Okay, do we have corkboard? Yes, we do have corkboard. Oh, I think I get what he's gonna have you do is like speckle it or something. So the corkboard stuff, I keep in the larger one down here, right there. Ow.
This is really big.
That is really big. We do have corkboard. Did you find the corkboard stuff? Okay.
Right there.
All right.
Where's the hobby knife, Dad?
Hobby knife is back here.
Thank you.
All right. So we're finishing up what? We're finishing up just the sidewalk, and then you're ready to go to bed?
Yes, and then I'll finish up the rest of it.
Is she all done? She all done?
No, I need to paint the rim black.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So it depends on the game. How you want to get your feet wet. It says yes. The corkboard is great if you want. Oh, okay, broken concrete. So you'd glue it in there for like broken concrete pieces.
Okay, I have the concrete is already kind of damaged.
Okay, so
on the model.
Here, just show it closer to the camera so you can see it. All right, see, depends on the game.
Blurry.
Okay, depends on the game how you want to get your feet wet. Every solo RPG seems to have some external lore or gameplay examples you can find. Easy Oracle system. Okay, they can be used. They can be ripped and reused. Okay.
How do I make it focus?
You twist the lens slightly. There you go.
One? This one or this one?
The front one.
Which way?
Until you go right there, and then you put it in. No, and then.
And then
Yep.
put your hand.
No, you can just put the thing. Just put the thing. Yeah, just put the thing, and twist until it goes clear. Keep. You got. Yeah, you got there. You got it right there. Good. Good.
Okay.
Now stop jostling it around. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Let's see. Depends on the game. Okay, we got that. Okay. Yes, corkboard's great for concrete. Okay. Kelsey did a solo Shadow Dark video, which is a good example of a noob learning solo play. Okay, fantastic. I'll take a look at that then.
There.
And yeah, I guess maybe I'll do that tomorrow after I learn a bit of the Ironsworn game. Maybe I'll try Shadow Dark solo and Ironsworn solo. Right. Okay. So that would be a good experiment for me to try it by myself, and then see if I felt like a loser while playing it solo.
There, I did it.
Most of my exposure to solo has been more about random generative stuff. The deep lore games sound interesting. All right. So I have a follow-up question about the deep lore. All right. So let's say I have a game that has deep lore. Do I, as the player of the game / DM of the game, need to know all the lore of the game, or how does that work? Like, am I turning pages in a campaign? Like, is this like a turn to page 235 and now I get to read a little bit more lore of what's going on? Like, how does it work? Like, have I already explored the lore and now I'm playing the game and exploring the lore I've explored? Or is there some kind of card-based system where I pull a thing and then it tells? Is it like the Arkham Horror board game? You know, where I pull a card and it tells me what happens in Rylith or whatever. You know, like, is it something like that? I guess my goal is like, how do you explore the lore if you don't know the lore, right? And like, or are you learning it while you're playing? I guess that's my thought. Okay, so he says. Let's see. Oh, okay. So he sees it. Okay, sec. He says dark to light is your friend. Hit with a mid-dark wash. Okay, so did you already read that?
I got some black.
But are you making a wash? Because I have washes over there.
So no.
Grab the monument one. Grab the monument one. I mean, you could do
monument have?
You can do the gray one. You can do that gray one. That gray one's pretty good. Yeah, no, over. Right there.
Well,
no.
What did he say? A dark?
He says, okay, so he says, dark to light is your friend. Hit with a mid-dark wash, then dry brush with gray.
I'll use...
He says, in my opinion, it looks pretty good.
Okay, well, I haven't done the curb and the sidewalk.
All right, okay, so theoretically, some of the 5e module books read like a story. Interesting. The players go from chapter to chapter. Could solo that in a sense. Wow. Okay, some like you know what? Okay, that's really interesting you bring that up, Kumit, because that is exactly how they play, right? So like if you want to play the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. That game title feels like word salad. If you want to play the Dragon Heist module, it makes more sense to play it as a solo game and just read through the things and then make choices or something. But that feels really sad. I don't know. It feels like it's missing something, right? Like it's missing the soul of the thing. All right. So some like White Wolf books are just text and reveal as you go. Interesting. Okay. So revealing the lore comes with exploring the book. It really depends if the game was made to be solo RPG or multiplayer RPG first. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, and I think, okay, so I feel like my thought on that is for a tabletop war game, that's fascinating to me. Like, that's totally interesting in the concept of playing like a cyberpunk war game or something. Okay, sorry. So he says, if you're going for the more complex painting because you have high points, establish your point of origin for light source and make sure, your shadows match. Oh, he just said level up, kid. So he said, are you painting shadows into it?
I have some shadows.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I like his suggestion. He just challenged you to make your sidewalk more interesting.
Well, he said if I'm going for...
No, I got you. Yeah. So if you're going for If you're going for
I
more
think I'm
paint
going
complexity,
for a little bit more comic booky, where it sort of
Okay.
everything highlights from the
I think
center
it's a
outward.
fair. I think it's a fair point though. A shadow right here in this section from her cape would be cool.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's a good point.
But
yeah.
I do like the more comic booky
Okay.
style of painting, and I've just recently learned a little bit more how to do that. I'm not great at comic book
let's see.
painting yet.
Okay, so it was made. Okay, I forgot one from here from TSL Frontman. It was made to be solo. Then if it was made to be solo, then it introduces you to the world first. Interesting, like Colossal, and tells you how to explore the pages. Other games like Shadow Dark Solo are more random generative. So I'm gonna take a picture of Colossal. I'm going to take a look at Colossal. Let's see. I just remembered that I have. There we go, Colossal. I remember that I have note cards here. All right, yeah. So, all right, that sounds interesting to me. I'll take a look at that because the idea I've gotten from both Shadow Dark and Ironsworn is that I decide what's inside the cave, either by a dice roll or by choosing, or by a dice roll and then choosing. And yeah, it's like I gotta try and figure out what to do with that. But yeah, like I was saying, the skirmish war games solo player, that sounds totally interesting to me, or that seems totally interesting to me. Even one that has like some sort of narrative, like, so I'm very interested in the Rangers of Shadow Dark game. That sounds like it'd be a really fun one because
Shadow Deep.
What did I say? Shadow Deep? Shadow Dark? Yeah, okay.
Shadow Dark.
Rangers of Shadow Deep. That sounds like a really fun idea because I think a war game that you play cooperatively with someone would be a war game that'd be much easier to teach them. Because you're not playing against each other. Since you have a figure that would naturally cast a shadow being high off the ground, darker color on the curb face is away from the light, and so on. Okay, all right. You paint a lot of models, AJ. I think it was Chris I read earlier painted a lot of like Warhammer miniatures and stuff. Let's see. I'll go do some random solo Shadow Dark and let you know if your wife calls you a loser. Yes, please do. Right. Right? Isn't that like a part of it too? Like, okay, all right, okay. Here's maybe this is a difference. This is like a me thing, right? So I used to like travel places. Maybe I'd go on the airplane, right? I'm in the TSA, right? And I'm sitting down and I got like an hour before my plane starts, and I wouldn't want to bring out my Nintendo Game Boy or whatever. Let's see, what was it, like a Game Boy Advance? Because I'm like, all right, I kind of feel like I'm being judged, right? There's a bunch of people like, oh, look at that adult child over there with their electronic toy. It's probably a me thing. There's probably a bunch of people who are like, yeah, no problem, I can play a solo RPG, but I'm sitting here like judging myself, like people are gonna think I'm a loser. Okay, seriously, it's 11:30 now. We gotta go to bed. And I said it again now, so that's looking really good though. Are you planning on doing more stuff with this figure? So it's like there's no reason for us, right? You know, get what I'm saying? Like if you're planning on painting this more tomorrow, like why are we stuck on here? We gotta go to bed.
Why am I going to school tomorrow is the question.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see. There's a high chance of that though. Playing with yourself in public is generally frowned upon. My painting style doesn't incorporate light much. Okay. Learned copying box art, so I'm more heavy metal Games Workshop style, where I paint for my models to be scrutinized from every angle, so max detail. Interesting. AJ has an apocalypse army, 10,000 points. Wow, for orc and goblin, Warhammer Fantasy, glutton for punishment. So 10,000 point army. About how many models is that? And do you remember, like, I don't mean like the order you painted them in, but like, do you have your first model versus your last one? I bet that'd be an interesting comparison. Like if you put those in like a video or a picture, like first one, last one, that'd be cool. If you have those, take a picture of them. I'd want to see them. I guess, I don't know. Maybe you can post them in a comment or something. Whatever. Send me an email. I'd be interested to see your first versus last minion. That'd be cool. All right, boy, I'm calling it.
No.
Yes,
No.
I'm calling it. Okay, I'm gonna give you a countdown. You have 10 seconds until you gotta start washing your brush. 30. Okay, I'm gonna do 30-second countdown, and then I'm gonna hit.
Put it on a timer, so because counting makes
Okay,
it
fine.
more
I'm gonna put it on a timer. All right, so hold on. Many covering a. So it's a lot covering a 6x4 table. All right, all right, so. Yeah, I'll post them for sure. Send me a picture of your whole army too. I'd be interested to see that. Like, I've seen pictures of like 1,000-point armies. Yeah, like I mean, so it says orcs and goblins. So for Warhammer
About
Fantasy.
1 minute.
Okay, all right, 1 minute timer. Okay.
I got it. It's on my watch.
Thank you, Chris. It was a pleasure hanging out with you as well. Yeah, I'll try and make like a schedule or something, because these are I know these are just random, and like we're like, oh, we got like some free time, but yeah, maybe we'll try and do something regular on like Thursdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays or something. I don't know. We also probably like want to have something to talk about, because, you know, I don't know. I figured it'd be boring if we didn't. Thank you, Kumit. Thank you so much. All right, I'm setting you a 30-second timer now.
I already
because
sent the minute
oh, you already started the minute timer?
on my watch.
Okay, what are we at right now? It's gonna beep soon.
23 seconds.
Thank you, Kumit. Yeah, let me know how that Shadow Dark game goes, and if your wife caught you
And called you a loser.
and called you a loser. Ugh. And thank you for the video idea. That's fun. That you feel like you should have gone to the gym.
Oh,
Is
it's
it-
wrong.
Was that? Random?
Wrong.
Perfect. Go. Okay. Put your brush. Go wash your brush. No, go wash your brush. I'm gonna close shop here. Okay.
Alright.
It isn't painted. Okay. It's a lot of black. A lot of primer in black. Takes too long. It takes too long to paint. Okay. I can understand that. I
The
think.
only problem is
I
that
mean-
I won't have Scarlet Witch done
Yeah.
for when I play with Robert tomorrow.
I still have 2 full armies of these guys. Here, let me change cameras. I still have 2 full armies of those guys. Oh, armies. 2 full skirmishes of those cyberpunk bros. There we go. All right. Okay. Go ahead. Wait. Put her on the magnet. What are you doing?
I was gonna go wash her off.
You're gonna go wash her off in the sink. Okay. All right. Go take your brush. Go wash your brush. All right. Yes. Good night. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for making our stream so fun.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, and we'll catch you. Well, I'll probably put up that video tomorrow. Thank you for the idea.
Yeah. God
Right.
bless you. Bye.
Bless you. Have a great night.